Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Marvel. I am Black Widow Godfather and my strength was exposed by the Scarlet Witch. Chapter 1. Natasha, that's my chicken leg. Stupid, you come after me, chase me and give you chicken legs. Lighthouse Country, Ohio, in a small yard, two little loli are chasing and frolicking. One looks like a tomboy, with short dyed hair, behaves like a little boy, and has a more athletic figure. The sister who chased behind her seemed to be forever only able to watch her back, and it would take her life to catch up. The younger sister is like a little princess, just like a rag doll in an anime, with blonde hair and a round face, extremely cute. It's just a pity that she has never been able to catch up with her sister, so frolicking has become annoyed. Natasha hid directly behind the swing and went around the swing to prevent Yelena from catching her. Stupid, I've already eaten a bite of chicken drumsticks. By the way, Natasha also took a bite of the chicken leg and deliberately angered her sister. I don't care. Yelena looked really anxious. I saw that the incomparably delicious marinated chicken thigh was bitten on it, and the marinade made Natasha's hand oily. She can't wait to eat Natasha's hand like a chicken leg. In this hurry, Yelena did not control her body well, and directly threw herself forward and fell to the ground. Although there was some sand on the ground, it also rubbed her knees. After all, she is only 8 years old now, a real little child. Natasha, who was 2 years older than her, laughed unabashedly when she saw her fall. Yelena, you're stupid. She laughed at Yelena with a chicken leg, but looking closely, there was still some worry in her eyes. Wow, Yelena really couldn't stand this anger, and cried out in a wow. And as if thinking of something sad, the crying is getting louder and louder, even on the street. Godfather. Godfather, Natasha bullies me. Yelena sat in the sand crying and shouting. At this moment, the door finally opened, and a man and a woman came out of it. Baby, Yelena, what's wrong with you? The woman ran towards Yelena. She wanted to pick Yelena up, but Yelena refused, and shouted, I don't want my mother, I want my godfather. The Iron Lady Melina had to turn her head helplessly to look at Kei-chen. Kei-chen is the godfather in Yelena and Natasha's mouth. He looked to be in his 20s, with black hair and black eyes, had only moved here for more than a year, and was Melina's neighbor. His eyes are like morning stars, he is very humorous, and he leads by example. Most importantly, he is a first-hand Chinese cuisine, easily conquering these 3 foodies. So, at Melina's suggestion, Kei-chen became the godfather of the 2 snacks. Little princess, who bullied you? With a soft tone, Kei-chen picked up little Yelena and patted the dust off her body. The little one's knees were grazed, and her own skin was thin, and blood could be seen at this time. Yelena was held in her godfather's arms and suddenly cried even louder. It's Natasha, she snatched my chicken leg and made me fall to the ground. Hearing Yelena's crying accusation, Natasha suddenly said dissatisfied, obviously she fell stupidly. Yelena cried even louder when she heard this. The little princess cried like a pear blossom with rain, and her little face was full of tears, which made Melina see it very distressed and said, Natasha, you are a sister, let your sister. Why should my sister let my sister? Although Natasha did not say this, her expression was obviously unconvinced. Kei-chen smiled and said, this has nothing to do with the size of the sisters, you want to eat, they are still at home, don't fight. He carried Yelena directly back into the house, helped the little princess clean her wounds, and then gave her chicken legs to eat. Natasha gave Melina a grimace and ran in with a chicken leg. Melina couldn't help it. The 2 sisters have much more respect for Kei-chen, the godfather, than her mother. Maybe she doesn't know how to educate her children at all. After all, for her, forming this family is just a task. Kei-chen helped Yelena fix her wound and then carried her to the table, while Natasha ran over by herself. Godfather. Yelena looked at Kei-chen with blank eyes. You guys eat, I'll call Melina in. Kei-chen said with a smile. Yelena suddenly lost her sadness and began to grab food with Natasha. Glancing at the 2 sisters, Kei-chen also showed a fatherly expression. These 2 little guys really make people have a desire to protect, and they don't want to be hurt in the slightest. Opening the door and going out, Melina was looking at the scenery, saw Kei-chen come out, and immediately held Kei-chen's arm. How's the 2 little guys? Godfather. Melina's voice was slightly coquettish. The lighthouse country is a land of great integration, and even Italian culture has developed here. There is a Sicilian saying, "The world is too dangerous for a child to have two fathers." This is where the godfather comes from. Am I not your godfather, or do you like to call me daddy? Kei-chen asked with a strange look. After crossing into this world, Kei-chen almost did not stop his steps to flirt with his sister, which can be regarded as another kind of glory. The main thing is that these girls are hot and easy to take away, and he naturally will not let them go. Orientals are actually very popular here. As long as you can play, it is very easy to take away the girl. It's just that after becoming the godfather of the two little princesses, Kei-chen converged a lot. But still fascinated Melina. The child is still here, and there is no one to call. Melina said casually, "Let's go to dinner, and the two little ones will go home later. After all, their father is coming back." Kei-chen patted Melina's back and knew what was going on. It's been almost a year since he came into this world. At first, Kei-chen thought that this was a very ordinary and normal world, and he had always been the Sea King, and he was even more presumptuous when he came to the lighthouse country. But he is very demanding, and it is difficult for ordinary people to enter his eyes. Ohio is a good place, located in the central east of the lighthouse country, not far from New York, so the quality of the girls here is quite high. Especially in the state university, Kei-chen used to often like to go around and feel the breath of youth. It was at that time that he saw the newspaper about the Stark Group and the information about the Mutant Academy, and immediately knew that what he came to was not an ordinary world. This is the Marvel Universe. Kei-chen was naturally a little afraid at first. After all, this world is too dangerous. Ordinary people may not know how they died one day. Fortunately, at this time, he activated the system. This is a check-in system, but when there is some helplessness, the system is not a daily check-in, but a year. Kei-chen could only wait. Fortunately, today was the first year to sign in. After knowing the danger of this world, Kei-chen also converged a little, and also became the godfather of the two little guys. As their godfather, he naturally has to set an example for them. Kei-chen is not good to often bring different women back. The two little guys will be puzzled. Fortunately, Melina's appearance brought him a little relief. Melina is still young, only a little older than Kei-chen, which is when she is young and beautiful. It's just a pity that she is a secret agent, and the family she has formed is also a task. Two people who had their own needs naturally came together. This also made Natasha and Yelena feel that it seemed that the godfather and mother were more like real parents, and as for the Alexei guy, there was no sense of existence. "Godfather, what is a special day today?" Natasha looked at the hearty food and asked Kei-chen, while Yelena only knew how to eat, eating with a mouth full of oil. Natasha was much more precocious than Yelena, which Kei-chen had already felt. She is like a little adult, extraordinary since childhood. Touching Natasha's light blue curls, Kei-chen smiled and said, "Every day is important to us, and we must live a special life. The teacher always wants me to have a meaningful life, but I just want to have a happy life." Natasha said to the godfather. "You're right, no one can define what makes sense." Kei-chen said with a smile, "Let's eat, otherwise it will be cold later." Quote, "I have to say that today is indeed very rich, and I don't blame Natasha for doubts, and Melina is also a little puzzled. A table full of dishes, these few of them obviously can't finish eating. Spicy chicken, lemon duck, white cut pork hands. Melina is not like a child, although it has been a year, but still not used to authentic Chinese food. She likes to eat American Chinese food, those taste as heavier, either very spicy or sour. Moreover, they are all names that the Chinese people have not heard of. What Zuo Zongtang chicken? But Kei-chen's transformation of the two little guys is relatively successful. They are still young and can quickly adapt to real food. So after nearly a year of feeding, Natasha and Yelena are no longer used to other delicacies. Their favorite is the marinated chicken thighs, because they are very delicious, and they are super cool to nibble together with the chicken skin. But after all, he is still young, and his body is small, and he can't hold up if he can't eat much. Yelena bulged her big belly, but was quickly stopped by Melina. "It's not that I don't have to eat anymore." Melina smiled at little Yelena. Yelena's little face was round and cute, and a delicious meal made her forget her contradictions with Natasha. Because she is a crybaby, she is gluttonous. Natasha sighed, and the little ghost ran away directly. Melina can't help her, Natasha is a tomboy. After a short rest, Melina looked at the sky, and immediately pulled Yelena and said to Kei Chen, "It's late, we're going back." "Goodbye, little princess." Kei Chen touched Yelena's head, and Yelena kissed him directly on the back of his hand. "See you tomorrow, godfather." Yelena happily followed Melina. When the door closed, Melina gave Kei Chen a wink. Then out of the yard, just in time to see Alexei's car return. Although she had no feelings with Alexei, or even did anything, just a task, she was still slightly embarrassed. After all, she is nominally Alexei's wife, but she takes her 2 daughters to play at her godfather's house every day. When Alexei saw this scene, his face turned a little dark. He just wanted to leave here and return to his hometown as soon as the mission was over, otherwise it would be too embarrassing. "Can we talk about two?" Alexei asked Melina. Melina let Yelena enter the house by herself, then wrapped her arms around her and asked, "What happened?" "You know, we are all task-oriented, and you will destroy the mission by taking Natasha and them to Kei Chen's house like this. We're husband and wife." Alexei spoke, not knowing if he was really afraid of the mission being affected or what. Melina laughed when she heard this. "Don't forget, we are not husband and wife, this is just a task." She would not admit that she was married to Alexei, and in her eyes the things left by that kind of mission were worthless. "I don't care, unless you want to hurt him, or when we leave, do you think he will be okay?" Alexei suddenly sneered and said. Melina did not retort, but fell silent. If she could, she would also like to stay here with 2 small padded jackets, which is a very good life and satisfying her. But Melina also knew that this was completely self-conscious. Especially Kei Chen is still an ordinary person, if he continues like this, it will really harm him. "You don't have to worry about that," Melina still said forcefully, and went directly into the house to bring the 2 babies. The look behind her made her sneer. Alexei was just jealous of Kei Chen. After staying for so long, he hadn't even touched Melina's hand, but Kei Chen easily gained Melina's heart. He also abducted his 2 daughters. Who exactly is on the job? Today is indeed a special day. Kei Chen closed the doors and windows tightly, and through the window, he could see the little Princess Yelena waving and greeting him. Natasha looked at this side with wandering eyes, looking like she wanted to care but pretended not to care. At her age, it's time to pretend to be cool. With a smile and a wave of his hand, Kei Chen closed the curtains as well. The whole room suddenly looked dark, because he didn't know what to expect. After thinking about it, I still turned on the light so that there would be no abnormality. When the time came in the evening, the check-in system really responded. A year ago, he traveled back in time at this point in time. At that time, there was also a Latino girl in the bathroom whose name I can't remember. Congratulations to the host for successfully surviving a year in the dangerous Marvel world and getting the check-in reward, Batman's combat ability. The host hides all the real strength, and if you survive, you will be able to get more rewards, and you will get a big gift package every 5 years. Batman's combat ability, including Batman's combat awareness, combat skills and computing ability. Kei Chen looked at everything in front of him, and his heart was still very happy. At least now, he can be regarded as having a little self-preservation. How is Batman also a ceiling of human combat power? Normal humans cannot be more powerful than Grandpa. And once blackened into a laughing bat, it is really invincible. Kei Chen finally didn't have to worry that even Melina would not be able to submit by then. The most important thing is that it is only 1994, and Kei Chen has a lot of time to check in and get rewards. What will be the actuarial calculation of purple sweet potatoes at that time? Therefore, the most important thing for him now is to live low-key, hide his true strength, and always keep a whole card. Extract. Subsequently, Kei Chen only felt that his body had undergone some changes. His figure is already very good, otherwise it would not be so easy to attract girls. But now, after getting Batman's ability, even his physique has been transformed. Otherwise, even if he has Batman's combat ability, his body is too weak, and he is only a war scumbag. Now it's finally a bit of combat effectiveness. He looked at his body, and the lines of his muscles became more pronounced, perfect. Pulling back the curtains, I saw that Natasha and Yelena were going to sleep. Yelena saw Kei Chen's upper body, and deliberately covered her eyes. Kei Chen smiled slightly, and glanced at Melina through the window, making Melina a little shy. The next day, Kei Chen got up on time, opened the window and saw poor Alexei driving away early in the morning. Kei Chen didn't know what their specific task was, and he didn't care about it. Whether it is a polar bear or a lighthouse country, what does it have to do with him? All he cares about now is Melina and the two little ones. If he could, he wanted to protect the two little princesses. But obviously, it's just Batman's ability, and it seems that he doesn't have this qualification. Unless he becomes Superman now, or the god of Asgard, he will be able to protect these two little treasures in the Beacon Country. Superman is a powerful man in his own right, known as the god of the world, and can negotiate with the Lighthouse Country on his own. There is no need to say more about the Asgardians, backed by the huge power of Asgard, and casually protect two people. But unfortunately, Kei Chen is none of them. At least not yet. Two little princesses, ready to go to school. Kei Chen rolled down the window and shouted into the next room. Alexei did not have time to send children, naturally it was his turn as a godfather. Natasha was the first to run out, and then said coolly, "Godfather, can you not shout like this, it's too childish. I like to be a little princess." Then Yelena also ran out. She wore a small skirt with curly hair draped over her sides, just like a princess. Cut. Natasha opened the back door and came up, followed by Yelena. Melina came out uneasily and got into the co-pilot. "How did you have the effort to send the child today?" Kei Chen wondered. "Nothing. I saw that Melina seemed to have something on her mind." Instead of asking, he drove Natasha and the two to the school. Ohio is not poor, but rich people like to live in the suburbs, and it is convenient to drive anywhere anyway. Watching the two little princesses run into the school, Melina finally couldn't hold back. "Kei Chen, I have troubled you with the two little guys, and it makes you spend a lot every day." She seemed a little unsure of what to say, and the language was very confused. Kei Chen directly grabbed her little hand and said, "Don't worry, what I have is money." Quote. He didn't say nonsense. After all, as a traverser, and knowing the Stark Group, can he let it go? Just buy Stark Group shares without brains. As early as December 1991, Tony Stark had inherited all the assets of his father Howard. At only 21 years old, Tony immediately began to soar with the Stark Group. He turned out to be even more genius than his own father. Buying the shares of Stark Group, there is naturally no reason to lose, and Kei Chen has also made a lot of money. This is also the reason why he can do nothing. He originally had small assets, and he was so good at investing, what was he afraid of? Not so. Melina looked complicated and said implicitly, "My identity, in short, you are with us, only harmful." "What's the harm?" Kei Chen naturally knew what she said, so he said, "Don't worry about the future, now you just have to listen to me." He said domineeringly and dragged Melina home directly. "Women are disobedient, just clean up. Immediately become an obedient kitten. I don't want to have a future, I just want to have a present." An hour later, at Ketchen's house, Melina hugged him tightly and said, "No, we will all have a great future, it will always be worth looking forward to." Kei Chen stroked her hair. "I hope so." Melina sighed. She couldn't tell Kei Chen her identity. After all, she was an agent, and she was also known as the Iron Lady. She didn't know that Kei Chen had already known their identities. If Natasha and Yelena were not the future Black Widows, Kei Chen would not be their godfather. "Come out to mix, you still have to talk about networking." Time passed slowly, and during this time, Alexei found that Melina didn't seem to say anything to Kei Chen. Excessively, sometimes Melina left the house directly at night after the child was asleep, and ran to Kei Chen's house opposite to spend the night. Although they were only a task couple, they still made Alexei feel a little bored. If he could, he would love to teach Kei Chen a lesson. Of course, he thought that he was for the good of Ketchen. So early that morning, Alexei finally couldn't help it. Taking advantage of Melina and the others, he ran directly to Kei Chen's house and knocked on the door. Kei Chen opened the door and looked at Alexei with a flat expression. "Is there something going on?" Alexei said gloomily. "I want to talk to you." "Yes," Kei Chen replied casually. Alexei did not enter the house either, and said directly, Natasha and Elena will leave with me soon, you better not have contact with our family again. Why? Kei Chen asked mockingly. He was very reluctant in his heart. The two little princesses were his goddaughters, but he had already weighed the pros and cons countless times in his heart. Natasha and Elena are both nominal and legal daughters of Alexei and Melina, and when Alexei completes the task, the two of them, even if they are small, will not be let go. Kei Chen can only protect himself, and he definitely can't protect them. Strength. Kei Chen thought that after 10 years of time, he would be able to gain great strength. There is no why, we are just passing guests here, I am here for your own good. Alexei said unreasonably. They are my goddaughters. Kei Chen said casually. They are my daughters, and Melina is my titular wife. You also said that it was nominal, who do you think they listen to? Kei Chen's words seemed to infuriate Alexei. The agent is so tragic, the so-called husband and wife are only required to be together on a mission, and the daughter is also adopted, and there is no affection with him. As a man, he is a complete loser. Alexei directly couldn't control the punch, wanting to teach Kei Chen a lesson. But Kei Chen directly caught his fist, and his other hand clenched into a fist and smashed it on his stomach. Ah! Alexei screamed, feeling that his internal organs were all stirred together by this punch. He looked at Kei Chen in shock, but he didn't expect Kei Chen to hide so deeply. No wonder he could conquer Melina, a proud woman. He thought that Melina liked Kei Chen because Kei Chen was stronger than him. Alexei is the Red Guardian, which is what the polar bear imitated the Lighthouse Nation's super soldier program. Although I don't know who is stronger or weaker than the captain of the United States, the strength of the Red Guardian is not bad, at least it is also a super soldier. However, he was punched by Kei Chen. Although it was just a simple dispute, it also meant that Kei Chen was not weaker than him. After all, how Batman is also the ceiling of human combat power, it is impossible to be weaker than Alexei. Alexei still wanted to say something, Melina had already run over. When she saw Alexei looking for Kei Chen, she was extremely afraid that Kei Chen would be bullied, so she ran out directly. What do you want to do? Melina stood in front of Kei Chen like a protective calf. Alexei wanted to cry without tears. Obviously he was beaten. And at this time, in front of Melina, he naturally did not want to admit that he was inferior to Kei Chen, so he could only avoid talking about it. I'm just talking to him. Alexei spoke. I still have business, I'm going out first. He knew that he couldn't help Kei Chen anymore. And it was obvious that Kei Chen would not listen to him at all. After all, it seems that Kei Chen is more like Melina's husband, and Natasha and Elena are his daughters. And he Alexei, just an outsider. Alexei has never had the mentality to get things done more than he does now. He wants to go home. Are you all right? Melina didn't care about him, but turned her head and put her hand on Kei Chen's face and asked. Don't worry, Kei Chen said with a smile. Melina lowered her head. She felt that Kei Chen was much more powerful than before. Indeed, Alexei could not be his opponent. Let's go, send them to school. Have you forgotten? Holiday today. Melina was speechless. Kei Chen really didn't have the idea of the day of the week, mainly because he was very relaxed every day, and he didn't need to be as miserable as students and workers. Then go and make you something to eat. His cooking skills are very good, after all, he has always lived alone, and now the food delivery service, it's even more imaginable. If you want to eat better, either make your own or drive to town. He can't get used to eating things here, so it's better to do it himself, so his cooking skills are getting better and better. It was with this cooking skill that he conquered the two goddaughters. Then he also put Melina into the pit. What to do today? Melina asked immediately. She also has the ability to go to the kitchen, but there is no way to do anything about Chinese food. Make their favorite sweet sausage, white-cut pig hands, Kei Chen casually said a few dishes, all of which the two goddaughters liked to eat. Now they don't like sandwiches, which are casual foods. Melina's scalp tingled when she heard it, and she couldn't help at all. She can only make the simplest food, and if she is asked to bake a loaf of bread or something, then it will be no problem. But chopping vegetables or something, that's really nothing. So Melina spoke, I'll go tell them the good news. Wait, there's no rush to cook. Kei Chen directly pulled Melina. I have to say that Alexei's words to him today still made him feel a little stimulated. although he knows the real situation of Melina and Alexei. But others don't know. With this brain supplement, Kei-Chen only felt extremely stimulated. Spring and autumn come, and the time of the year slowly passes. Both Natasha and Yelena have changed a little, both have grown taller, Yelena has become cuter, and Natasha has become cooler. Natasha always has short dyed hair and changes to other killer matte colors from time to time, but her favorite is still light blue. And she didn't let Kei-Chen pick it up, and came back every time she rode a bicycle. Yelena is more dependent on her godfather, and she has to pick up and drop off, otherwise she will cry. It also made Natasha always say that she loved criers. It seems that Natasha thinks that her sister is too childish and does not like to play with her. Little princess, eat slowly, Kei-Chen said to the scalded Yelena. Sisi, godfather, it's delicious, Yelena said with a big tongue. Then, Kei-Chen looked at Natasha who was holding her chin and asked, "What's wrong, Natasha, who bullied you again?" Natasha smiled when she heard this. Godfather, only I bully others. Then she looked at Kei-Chen with big eyes and asked, "Last year's day was also so rich, is today the godfather's birthday?" You should be. Kei-Chen smiled. This surprised several people. Because they had also asked Kei-Chen about his birthday before, but he didn't care if his birthday was not a birthday, so he said it casually every time. But this time I actually admitted it. This kind of special day is much more important to Kei-Chen than his birthday, which is tantamount to being reborn. Melina, who is becoming more and more charming, came out in an apron. She has been taught by Kei-Chen for so long, and finally can cook a little Chinese food. It's just that the taste is only suitable for herself. The Iron Lady is now at the peak of her appearance, and those enchanting cheap goods outside are completely incomparable to her. Kei-Chen spent more effort on her than the other women combined. It's an incredible thing. Eat more, Natasha, it's when you grow a body, Yelena is taller than you. Kei-Chen gave Natasha a large bowl of dishes. Impossible. Natasha was really unconvinced, and immediately took a big bite. Her nutrition seems to have grown elsewhere, but she is not growing. Yelena is different, and there is obviously no nutrition elsewhere. Thinking about Natasha's appearance later, Kei-Chen was not strange. Natasha struggled to wear a tights later, but you can imagine how strong her figure is. The two little guys still can't eat much. After eating and drinking, she was taken back by Melina. Just like last year, Kei-Chen closed everything and even bathed in incense, making sufficient preparations. After all, this Pit Daddy's check-in system appears once a year, and he wants to be lucky. Congratulations to the host for successfully surviving for 2 years, hiding his strength, and getting a reward, life-sharing necklace. Life-sharing necklace mother, the person who wears it is related to the life of all those who wear the sub-necklace. As long as your life does not end, the person who wears the sub-necklace can share your life, never die, and will not be humiliatingly harmed. Life-sharing necklace sub, the person who wears it is affected by the mother necklace. As long as the wearer of the mother necklace does not die, it can remain young forever, immortal, and will not be humiliated, such as castration, etc. If the wearer of the mother necklace dies, the wearer of the child necklace will also lose the life characteristics at the same time. Kei-Chen looked at the sign in results and fell into deep thought. There is only one mother necklace and 4 child necklaces. This seems to be a good thing, as long as the mother necklace is immortal, and the child necklace is difficult to die. And it will not be humiliatingly harmed, which can also make Kei-Chen feel a lot relieved. At least Natasha and Yelena won't be in mortal danger. Of course, he has to wear the mother necklace, which also means that he must be more low-key, otherwise if he dies alone, he will kill everyone else. It may seem unfair, but at the same time it is very fair. If you want to get benefits, you have to give something. Without saying a word, he put the mother necklace around his neck, and the child necklace had to find an opportunity to give to them. Although she is her goddaughter, it depends on the time to send something. A few days later, in the evening, Natasha and Yelena went home after eating from Kei-Chen's place. Melina, who was carrying them, was obviously a little disturbed. Melina knew what was going to happen. Alexei had told her to be ready, they were leaving here. Melina doesn't want to go either, but if she doesn't, there is only a dead end left in the lighthouse country. Sure enough, not long after she returned home with her 2 daughters, Alexei's car hurried back. Pack your things, we're leaving. Alexei said to his family. If it weren't for this identity, he wouldn't have been so successful. Although this pit Natasha and Yelena, they can no longer stay in the lighthouse country, those inhuman guys will definitely kill them, even if they are just children. As for Melina, she is someone else's woman. Alexei does not feel much. No, I'm not leaving. Yelena was about to go to rest, but when she heard this, she immediately retorted. In an instant, her eyes were filled with tears. Honey, we said we're leaving. Melina had to hold Yelena and said. They had already packed their things, but they didn't expect this day to come so quickly. Mom, isn't it good for us to live with our godfather? Yelena asked with a crying voice. I also want to live with your godfather, but someone won't allow it. Melina wiped her tears, and she suddenly became emotional too, and her eyes were full of tears. So did Natasha, her eyes filled with tears, and then she ran out without looking back. She rushed out of the yard and ran directly to Kei Chen's yard. At this time, Kei Chen just opened the door, looked at Natasha with a serious expression, ran over, and then directly pounced on him. Godfather, Natasha said with a crying voice, can we still meet? It will, Natasha. Kei Chen kissed her forehead and said, you are braver than anyone thought. Quote. Watching Melina run out with Yelena, and Alexei indifferently getting his car in the distance. Kei Chen's heart gradually sank, knowing that this day had finally come. He wanted to keep Natasha and them, but knew he couldn't protect them. Godfather. Yelena also threw herself into Kei Chen's arms. The two little guys immediately occupied him. Little princess, don't cry. Kei Chen gently hugged Yelena. She felt Kei Chen's tenderness, and her crying became smaller. Why can't we live with you? Yelena asked crying. Kei Chen couldn't answer, so he could only hold them. No one will be together forever, little princess. Kei Chen had to say so. Yelena kept shaking her head and wet Kei Chen's clothes at once. After a while, he let go of the two goddaughters. He took out two small necklaces that were not very conspicuous from his arms and put them on for the two goddaughters. From the moment they put it on, only they can see it. This is my gift to you, no matter when, don't give up. You are always the best. Kei Chen said with a heavy voice. The two goddaughters were speechless, but they cried harder. Later, Kei Chen took out another one for Melina to put on. You are my bride. Anyway, he is a scumbag, and he is not stingy with his words at this time. If he really wanted to marry Melina, he would definitely not agree. But to say such words, it will not be less than half a meat. I love you. Melina couldn't control her emotions from expressing it. Me too. Melina put on the necklace, looked down and said, it's beautiful. Quote. They are sub-necklaces of the life-sharing necklace. Kei Chen couldn't find a chance to give it to them. Now that it is sent out, the people are leaving. Melina, we have to go. Alexei got everything done and shouted at them. He watched his titular wife and daughter get close to others, and suddenly felt unspeakable pain. Melina couldn't help it, she knew that time could not be wasted at all. We have to go. She led her two daughters to the car. Melina can barely control herself and make herself temporarily hard-hearted. But Yelena couldn't help but look back at her godfather. Natasha pretended not to care and walked forward without turning her head. This section of the road finally had an end. They got into the car, Melina waved at Kei Chen, and then the car disappeared from Kei Chen's sight. In a few moments, countless whistles sounded, and they had been discovered. You shouldn't waste your time. Alexei complained. You won't really fall in love with him, will you? Quote. He is our enemy. He's not from the Beacon country. Melina said coldly, her eyes full of reluctance. Alexei drove to the farm, which had been prepared for a long time, where there was an old plane. Natasha and Yelena seemed to be tired of crying, but just followed Melina onto the plane like wood. Then I watched the two adults try to start it, allowing the plane to run quickly. Can we still come back? Yelena asked her sister. Natasha looked out the window and said, I'll be back for sure. I'll definitely come back before you. Yelena said not to be outdone, but they didn't know what their future was. As children, they never decide their own destiny or even know what to expect. At this moment, they all hate the feeling of being manipulated. If they were adults, they wouldn't have to listen to Alexei and Melina. At this point, Alexei jumped on the plane, and Melina controlled the old spiral plane to make it fly. Countless bullets grazed past him. The police car followed, and at this moment, a bullet flew towards Melina in the driver's seat at an amazing angle. Between the electric flint, a dart-like dark weapon flew out from the roof on the side. The dart hit the gliding bullet with great precision, and the dart was instantly collapsed, but the trajectory of the bullet also changed. It was supposed to shoot in the direction of Melina, but it hit Alexei, who had just boarded the plane. Alexei was shot in the shoulder, and blood instantly stained his shirt. "Are you all right?" Melina, who didn't know that she had walked around the ghost gate, asked. "In case Alexei dies here, it will be finished. I'm okay." Alexei felt a little unlucky. At this time, Natasha and Yelena seemed to see a figure on the roof outside the window. But by the time they opened their eyes and looked again, the figure had disappeared. "Hallucinations," Natasha muttered. She thought she saw the godfather. And the godfather waved at her. Natasha bowed her head, clutching the necklace that her godfather had given her. Kei Chen stood in the shadows and saw the successful takeoff of the plane, and also turned around to hide his merits and fame. "No way, FBI and other agents have already surrounded this place. If you don't run anymore, it's too late." Even Kei Chen's ability, once surrounded, can only be captured. "Sir," they ran. "I'm not blind." The head of the department, who did not know what department, said, "Search here to see if there is any information." Polar bears. Obviously, they already know the identity of Alexei's family. Although the huge red empire has collapsed, the hairy bear that inherited most of its legacy is still against the Lighthouse Nation, and the battle in the secret has not decreased. Soon, the search by a group of several organizations was over. They were all experienced agents who quickly found useful information. A dart was found here. Everyone looked over, and saw that this agent was holding a black dart in his hand, which was bat-like, extremely sharp, and there was a bullet mark on it. How did this come about? I don't know. Did it appear out of thin air? Give me a search. Quote. Apparently, this group still has accomplices. Kei Chen returned home and turned on the lights, making the home seem more lively. The bat darts were polished by him in the air. After all, Batman has this throwing ability. He didn't think about going at first, but suddenly remembered that Melina would be injured in this situation, so he took the risk to go. The result was naturally good. He was like opening the bullet time, and accurately intercepted the bullet with a bat dart. I just didn't expect Alexei to get hurt. But what does it have to do with him? Thinking like this, Kei Chen suddenly felt that his home was a little empty. It's never been so deserted before. Kei Chen muttered to himself. Especially later, Melina often knocked on the door at night. Thinking like this, suddenly there was a knock on the door. Of course not, they came back. Coming so soon. Kei Chen thought so, and then opened the door very calmly. In the courtyard, under the cold moonlight, a sparkling black bald head appeared in front of him, followed by a slightly honest figure, with his hands crossed in front of him, looking very restrained. FBI, sir. Nick Fury, who is still two-eyed, holds his forged documents. Ordinary people will not think about whether they are FBI, and there is no way to verify. Even if they really check, they will find that this is really FBI documents. Is there something going on? Kei Chen asked indifferently. Nick Fury smiled and said, I heard you are familiar with your neighbor's family. He had already found out that the best relationship with the agent's family was the young man in front of him. That's right, I'm the godfather of the two little guys. Kei Chen's expression softened a little. He did not hide it. These will be found. Anyway, he just bites himself and doesn't know the specifics. So it is. Nick Fury was a little surprised that he was still a godfather. Do you know their true identities? What happened to them? Kei Chen asked suspiciously. My two goddaughters are very smart. You may have some misunderstanding. Maybe. Nick Fury didn't notice anything wrong. He put in the agent's thinking and thought for a while. If he was on a mission, how could he not let his neighbors notice? Therefore, he decided that Kei Chen was a tool man. He didn't say much, just asked, why don't you stop them when they are leaving? How do I stop it? I have no custody. Kei Chen said speechlessly, acting dripping. All right, sir. Although Nick Fury was still a little suspicious, he didn't think much about it. Because he already has preconceived ideas. Last question, do you know who in the neighborhood plays darts? Kei Chen pondered for a moment and said, Grandma Lucy. Not only can she play darts, but she also has a rifle, which can make 2 holes with 1 shot. Nick Fury knew he couldn't ask anything. Although he doubted Kei Chen, the evidence showed that Kei Chen was an ordinary person, and there seemed to be nothing special. The main thing is that this matter has nothing to do with their land bureau, purely to make a scene. Don't bother you anymore, Nick Fury said decisively. Then he left directly, only to find that the new Coulson was still standing stupidly in place. It's over, newcomer. Coulson reacted to this, smiled embarrassedly at Kei Chen, and immediately followed his boss. Shall we leave it alone? It's not our job, let them have a headache. Nick Fury said casually. The Land Bureau has some funding from the Hairy Bear, and although the Lighthouse Country is the most funded, they are not good at interfering in this matter. Let them play on their own. Next, Kei Chen went through several investigations, and he answered the question without leakage. After all, put yourself in the shoes of everyone, and everyone knows that it is impossible for an agent on a mission to expose himself. Therefore, it is normal for Kei Chen to know nothing even if she is Natasha's godfather. According to the investigation, the 2 girls were just used tools, a pretense. The end result of this matter can only be nothing. Alexei has already escaped from the Lighthouse Country, they want to continue the investigation, and they are also incapable. After about half a month, Kei Chen was completely undisturbed. In the past half a month, Kei Chen is very unaccustomed. The house next door, which used to be Melina's family, became empty, and other families began to move, and the neighbors changed a lot. After all, this is also normal, everyone is a little taboo. The most feared thing of the rich is to be contaminated with this thing. In addition, Kei Chen, who was accustomed to being lively and did not like to be deserted, had not chatted with anyone for so long, and he felt that his body was a little uncomfortable. The main thing is that Melina is gone, and no one has taken Melina's identity. Kei Chen was a little angry. Looking at the empty room next door, Kei Chen finally made a decision that went against his ancestors. He was going to sell the house here, play around, and find a place to settle. Anyway, he is not poor in money, and when he comes to this world, as long as he is happy, Stark will work hard to make money. Therefore, there is nothing against the ancestors. Kei Chen was originally a prodigal son, and if it were not for Natasha's family, he would not have settled here. Now that Natasha and them are gone, it's time for her to continue to be dashing. I have to say that Kei Chen still has a little expectation. Melina is nice, but mostly a little tired. Men like the new and dislike the old. He immediately found someone and sold the house, and there was nothing worth remembering. Looking at these familiar objects, he would only see things and think of people, thinking of his little princess. Will the little princess be so cute when she grows up? With this doubt, Kei Chen changed to a Dodge Challenger, which is a muscle car, very domineering. It is very in line with Kei Chen's temperament. Whether it's fast or furious, he loves it. Kei Chen didn't have any prepared routes, but he actually liked to go to big cities. Because girls in big cities tend to dress up more beautifully and stylishly, they are always the target of those rural girls in the Lighthouse Country. Under such circumstances, all girls with a little posture will frantically enter these big cities and try to integrate in. These girls more or less have the dream that Lighthouse Country has been promoting in their hearts, especially in big cities such as New York and Los Angeles. I don't know how many girls fantasize about becoming famous once, becoming rich overnight, and becoming a big star when they wake up. And what they have and can give is their own body. For the rich, big cities are paradise. The big city is good, and it is good to experience the local people. Kei Chen drove his Dodge Challenger all the way towards New York. Ohio is the northeastern part of the Lighthouse Nation, just one Pennsylvania from New York, the largest city. As for the east, Kei Chen will not go. Although he doesn't have the geographical discrimination of the locals, there is really not much to go to in those places. Even after living here for a few years, Kei Chen couldn't name a few central cities. In Beacon Country, people on the west and east coasts call the central region the leap zone. That is, when crossing the Lighthouse Country, the place that can only be seen and remembered by plane. There is really no sense of presence, and there are many rednecks. Kei Chen didn't want to make fun of himself, there were definitely not many beautiful girls. It was only when he came all the way to Pennsylvania that he found that his taste had changed. Although the standard has not changed, blonde hair and blue eyes, white skin and long legs, these cannot be less, but other aspects are not up to standard. Kei Chen cannot look at it, let alone exercise together. Kei Chen, who was driving the Dodge Challenger with one hand and resting on the window with the other, looked at the girl on the side of the road, not interested. It seems that Melina raised my taste. Kei Chen's vision was not very high. After all, it was a matter of winning glory for the country. As long as it was at the level of a school flower, it could be accepted. But now, he seems to not only look at appearance, but also on identity. Melina is an agent of the Red House, able to come out to perform such an important task. There is naturally no need to say more about her appearance and figure, and where she puts it as the top. The most important thing is her origin in the Red House, which makes Kei Chen have a sense of conquest. Think again, I came to the Marvel world, if you don't conquer those famous women, what's the difference with Tony Stark? Tony, this playboy, this period is not refused. It was precisely because of this inner thought that Kei Chen found that he had lost an important interest in his life. There are too few that meet his requirements. That night, Kei Chen drove for a while, finally came to the city center, refueled at the gas station, and prepared to find a place to rest for the night. Unfortunately, there is only one Blockbuster store and cinema next door, and the hotel seems to be some distance away. Blockbuster is now a very popular store, mainly for film and television rental. Stacks of movie CDs, album cartridges and video games are set up on shelves, allowing customers to get the most out of their enjoyment for a small rent. Now there is no smartphone, so Kei Chen is even more bored. Just as he started the car and thought like this, suddenly a figure fell from the sky. Boom! This figure did not slow down at all, and directly smashed into the Bee's TV store in front of him. Kei Chen, who had a guess in his heart, stopped the car directly. He rolled down the window he had just closed and waited for the people inside the store to come out on their own. Sure enough, it didn't take long for a stumbling figure to come out from inside. She was wearing a dark green battle suit. Perhaps because of the battle uniform, her figure did not look very thin, and then look at her face. Confirmed, it was none other than Captain Marvel Carol Danvers. Just as Kei Chen looked at her with slight interest, Carol also saw him. She patted off the dust on her combat uniform and became clean again, and then walked directly over. Hello. Carol waved her hand and said hello, thinking about how to speak. At this time, I heard Kei Chen in the car say, "This is the planet C-53, who are you and why are you here?" Hearing Kei Chen's words, Carol, who was still a little hesitant, was overjoyed in her heart. Great, since the other party knows this, things are naturally much easier. She smiled and said, "I'm from the Star Troopers, you can call me Firth." Quote, "Well, Firth, what are you doing on Earth?" Kei Chen said with her. "Earth, is it the name of this planet?" Carol did not pause and said directly, "I have important news, the Skuru people have come to your planet. I am afraid that the purpose is not simple, I need to find them." I only saw that Kei Chen's face in the car became serious. "Skurrus, aren't they at war with the Kree?" "You're right, we defeated them, so they fled here. The Skulu Empire is one of the 3 major empires in the universe. This is indeed a troublesome thing. If it is not done, it will become a cosmic dispute." Kei Chen's performance was very good, mainly because Carol did not doubt his words at all. This backward planet, there are definitely not many people who can know these things. Even the Skuru Empire knew that the 3 major empires in the universe were even more convincing to Carol. This flickering made Carol unable to find the North. So she asked, "I can't contact the players, do you know where the communication equipment is?" "I know, but I can't help you find the Skurrus, it's up to you." Kei Chen made a defensive shot in advance. Carol nodded in agreement. Although the Skuru people were defeated and even the empire collapsed, it was not something that this kind of planet could provoke. "Get in the car, let's go to the hotel." Kei Chen showed a hint of a smile. Carol's appearance is biased towards the square face in the comics, not the square face in the movie, otherwise Kei Chen would not be able to get his mouth down. But the real Carol really made him want to meet for a while. That's why it's like cheating a girl. A simple woman like Carol, Kei Chen can lie to her at least 7 times. Carol did not hesitate to get into the co-pilot. Hotel. She was a little puzzled. Yes, it's a place to relax, and of course you can play some enjoyable games. Kei Chen said seriously. The most important thing is that there is the communication equipment you need. Quote. Okay. Carol nodded and fastened her seatbelt under Ketchen's instructions. After that, Kei Chen confirmed that Carol was indeed more like the image in the comics, blonde hair and blue eyes, and her body had perfect curves. It's just that this Kree man's battle suit is too stupid, completely covering Carol's beautiful figure, almost making Kei Chen miss the good thing. At this time, he thought with some pity, should he buy Ferraris, what Dodge should he buy? Driving a Ferrari with one hand is a miracle. Kei Chen took her to the hotel nearby, and the car was parked farther away, afraid of being targeted in the future. So late, the lone man and widow came to the hotel, although the woman was dressed a little strangely, but the front desk still understood in seconds. I didn't have a driver's license, Kei Chen said while passing over a little more tip. If you don't have a driver's license, it's naturally not a thing. Carol, who had some doubts along the way, opened the door of the room, and after entering, Carol immediately understood the arrangement inside. She turned her head to look at Kei Chen with a slightly strange expression. Do you want to find communication equipment in this kind of place? Kei Chen said calmly, we can do something else. It might make it easier for you to move around on Earth. Carol is not a fool, she naturally knows what Kei Chen wants. But what Kei Chen said was also right, maybe her actions would be more convenient. The main thing is that Kei Chen is very handsome. Really attractive Oriental men are very popular here, and Carol's aesthetic is not biased. Under Kei Chen's coercion and temptation, she nodded and said, then I need to clean it first. Quote. That's how the deal was struck. Kei Chen immediately smiled and said, the Earth's water resources are very scarce, and some places are short of water all year round, so we can't waste water. Carol entered the bathroom, he followed directly. Since both people are intentional, then the next thing is natural. Kei Chen practiced breaking the defense with the ball in both hands, which is an ability that must be mastered on the basketball court, which proves that his singles ability is perfect, and Captain Carol's one-on-one is obviously not his opponent. Immediately defeated under his skillful offense, he could not hold the basket. I have to say that this basketball is very strong and big. After a workout, Carol's skin was a little redder, and she lay weakly on the sofa and played with the phone. I connected my communication chip and got it for a long time before I finally connected to the signal in the universe. Soon, she reported her situation to Young Rogue. At this time, she did not know that Young Rogue was actually the culprit, the biggest rebel, and had been manipulating her. Before Carol had time to think about it, she was controlled by another big villain. Originally, he was still reporting something to Rogue, but suddenly there was no sound. Firth, are you still there? Hey, Firth, the voice came from the phone, and Carol was no longer in the mood to pay attention. Who told her to just casually put on a bath towel, and Kei Chen began to practice his ball skills again. A ray of morning sunlight shone into the room, and Carol woke up from a deep sleep. She immediately sat up from the bed and looked around warily. There was still some temperature next to it, but Kei Chen, the scumbag, was gone. Carol got out of bed and saw a note on the table next to him. Later, a local organization from Earth will come to you, I must leave first. See you soon, Firth. Carol looked at the words on it, felt the discomfort of his body, and immediately secretly scolded Kei Chen as a scumbag. Only now did she react. She didn't even know Kei Chen's name, so she played a wild ball game with him in such a vague way. Though, his skills are really good. Even after that, Carol still has some aftertaste. It's a pity that Kei Chen is an Earthling, otherwise they can have a long-term identity. No, now is not the time to think about this, go to the Skuru people. Carol then remembered his mission, and was almost in no mood to go to the Skuru. Just as she was finally putting on her battle suit, there was a knock on the door of the room. This dress is easy to take off, but it is really troublesome to put on, mainly because it is too crowded. What people? As soon as Carol opened the door, he saw many people standing outside the door, led by a black man, and behind him was an honest white man wearing sunglasses. I don't know why, but looking at him I feel that he is very honest. Hello, ma'am. Nick Fury spoke. I wonder if you have seen a lady who fell from the sky. Sorry, no, Carol said with an unchanged expression, and immediately wanted to close the door. Nick Fury immediately blocked it, otherwise he really let her run. Is it possible, it's yourself? He looked at Carol, who was pretending to be calm, and said. Carol was really a little embarrassed. She spoke, don't you already know my identity? He didn't tell you. Quote. Him. Nick Fury was really curious. Kei Chen did it too carefully and did not leave any traces at all. Even opening a house doesn't use a driver's license. Yes, you don't know. Carol came back to his senses. No wonder Kei Chen was leaving, these local organizations should not know his existence. So she said again, my name is Firth, and I am a member of the Kree Empire's interstellar team. Does he know your identity? Quote. Nick Fury was simply curious. Who is it exactly? Excuse me, keep it secret. Carol also knew at this time and did not want to disclose her partner's information. Even if it's just Kei Chen's appearance. Then how do you prove that what you say is true? Nick Fury took it another way. However, Carol's behavior he couldn't understand at all. Looking at the messy marks in the room, this made Nick Fury have a guess. This woman in front of her who doesn't look very smart won't be deceived, right? It's really miserable enough, both physically and mentally cheated. That man must be a scumbag. Even this kind of simple girl lied. While thinking like this, Carol suddenly turned around, and an energy cannon shot into the distance. This completely shattered Nick Fury's three views. What's the situation? Just as Carol was completely on the road to find the Scarlet, Kei Chen had already driven his Dodge Challenger towards New York. If it were someone else, he might help. But Captain Marvel, he is clearly not needed. The main thing is that the predecessor of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Bureau of Homeland Security, which has a lot of troublesome names, has already set its sights on her. Therefore, Kei Chen could only be a scumbag once and immediately disappeared in front of her. This in-depth exchange must have left a deep impression on her. Maybe I will come to Earth a lot in the future. There is a saying, Kei Chen has not yet had fun, but time does not wait for anyone. But he also confirmed what his interest had become. First of all, beauty is a must, and there must be a status bonus, as if the requirements are not particularly high. After all, coming to the Marvel world, if you don't have a deep exchange with these heroes and villains, wouldn't it be for nothing? Black Widow's godfather has become a godfather, and it is not a big deal to influence the world. I just didn't know that the Supreme Mage Ji Yuyi, who is also a strong man's hairstyle, noticed that he didn't. Otherwise he could have waved a little more. Crossing Pennsylvania, Kei Chen came to New York City. New York, known as the largest city in the world, is the economic center of the world, and the wealth here is staggering. But under this brilliance, in fact, many people turn a blind eye to the dirt. New York is undoubtedly a combination of heaven and hell. For the rich, this is paradise. New York has everything they want, from women to more wealth or social status. Countless women with the American dream step into here, and there are newcomers all the time. They have naive illusions that hooking up with a rich man will be able to become rich overnight. This is different from Los Angeles. After all, there is no Hollywood in New York, and girls with star dreams have gone to Los Angeles. But after the dream is shattered, New York is hell. The place with the most homeless people in the entire lighthouse country is New York. They lose their fixed home, they don't have a job, and if they want to work, they have to have a fixed home, and it all comes from money. It's an endless cycle with no solution, so they can only be reduced to vagabonds. I don't know how many people come here with dreams, but when their dreams are shattered, they find that they can't even escape here, and they can only sit on the side of the bustling streets every day like walking corpses, pick up garbage, and look at the most prosperous city. What irony! And which city has the second most homeless people in the lighthouse country? That's right, it's Los Angeles. The American dream is really harmful. The capitalists harvest batch after batch of leaks and never treat them as human beings. Kei Chen's Dodge Challenger drove on the streets of New York and couldn't help but sigh. Fortunately, he is rich. For him, the most attractive to him are New York and Los Angeles, two places where there are simply not too many beautiful women. Not only in the lighthouse country, but even women in other countries are eager to drill into these two places. What exactly is the picture? He can understand the rich, but he can't understand the rich. Kei Chen passed by the Stark building, did not stop, directly found a luxury hotel, prepared to live for a while, and then went to Los Angeles to see those girls with dreams. If he fancy it, it's okay to help them fulfill some dreams. In a flower world like New York, Kei Chen didn't seem to feel the passage of time. It's just that there are very few people who can interest him, and several months have passed. Even if he lingers at all kinds of parties. There are so many parties in New York that Kei Chen is dazzled. Every night, the city seems to come to life. He kind of knows why there are so many party animals here. If he only has small assets, plus his vision is not so high, and he is not so picky eater, he may also become a party animal under this kind of happiness. Every day, as long as you get drunk and dream to death, sleep a little during the day, and continue to party at night. Fancy which girl will take high pie directly. Day in and day out, this kind of life is not unavoidable. But Kei Chen didn't look at this. Therefore, he did not participate in the most exciting activities of the day, but drove back to the hotel bored. Let's go to Los Angeles in a while. Kei Chen did not find prey in New York, so naturally he had to hunt in another place. For him, too little prey also seems to be a painful thing. But he didn't want to find a random one to deal with himself. Thinking like this, he pushed open the hotel room, but saw an unexpected person. A flickering streamer landed on his balcony, and the glowing Captain Marvel tilted his head slightly to look at him, revealing a defiant expression. The color of her uniform has changed, not the ugly dark green before, but the color of red and blue, and a large star in front of her. Kei Chen closed the door and a smile appeared on his face. I'm leaving Earth soon. Carol smiled and said. Kei Chen immediately understood. Not seen for months, both of them missed it. Carol wants to go far for a long journey, I have a heart. After all, I don't know when the next time we will play together. Reacquaintance, my name is Carol Danvers, and I am also an Earthling. Carol walked over to him and held out her hand. Kei Chen also stretched out his hand and shook it and said, my name is Kei Chen. Then, he pushed, but Carol didn't move. Instead, Carol pulled him over. Carol then threw him onto the field. She had always kept Kei Chen's affairs in her heart and did not reveal it to anyone. Even if Nick Fury met her, and found the screw together and broke the conspiracy of the Kree, in Carol's heart, she was still not as good as Ketchen, the man who entered her heart. Sure enough, the most understanding of women in this world is still a woman. Zhang Ailing's words are really interpreted to the extreme. Kei Chen and Carol were the first to know each other, but the others were completely inferior to him. Unless someone from the same path shows up. But after seeing Kei Chen's bravery, there must be no second person. Carol isn't the kind of person to do it everywhere either. Kei Chen felt Carol's strength, and also sighed, now you are Captain Marvel. Carol smiled slightly and didn't say more. She has thoroughly mastered her own energy and can perfectly use her full strength, and now she is the real Captain Marvel. Moreover, he is leaving the Earth, how can he give Kei Chen a deep impression? What if you forget her? Therefore, even if Kei Chen has the physique of a normal human peak, he is still not an opponent. When Kei Chen woke up again, it was already the afternoon of the next day. He stood up and suddenly felt a pang of weakness. Horrible, terrible, she deserves to be the most dangerous woman in the universe. The main thing is that her physique is too good, and Kei Chen is just a human. Carol, Kei Chen shouted, good guy. Carol learned from him this time, became a scumbag, and disappeared directly. This must have been in retaliation for doing the same thing last time. Kei Chen didn't care either, he was already very cool. Just then, he saw a small note on the cabinet. Good guy, still learning from him. It seems that he hurt Carol a little deeply last time, and he is really a vengeful woman. When you see this note, I have left Earth and do not know in which galaxy. I left you a pager to contact me, and you can find me whenever you need me. As long as I can receive information. Looking at the words on the note, Kei Chen smiled. A pager was placed next to it, and he picked it up and grabbed it in his hand. Nick Fury also has one, but it's obviously too demanding. Before the critical moment of life and death, Nick Fury did not dare to disturb Carol. Which is as loose as Kei Chen, as long as he needs it, he can find it. The question is, what is needed? Thinking like this, Kei Chen still did not press it deadly, but put it away. In the sky, seeing him put away the pager, Captain Carroll turned around in satisfaction. In just an instant, her figure turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the sky. Although there was an episode of Captain Marvel, Kei Chen still did not spend much time in New York. He soon traveled to Los Angeles to continue his unique, American dream. It can be understood as helping those poor people fulfill the American dream. It's just that there doesn't seem to be a poor man who needs his help. After Captain Marvel Carroll left Earth, time seemed to speed up, and suddenly came to 1996. It's not a special year, but a year has passed and it's a special day. In a luxury hotel in Los Angeles, Kei Chen rarely went out to party tonight. Although there are many girls who chase dreams, he has no favorite for the time being. It's good in Los Angeles and you can see a lot of stars, but he is not interested in stars. In-depth communication, or forget it. The main thing is that today is the time for him to check in again. Only once a year, he naturally has to pay attention. Although the system does not have a strong sense of existence, it is a good thing every time. Batman's fighting ability, life-sharing necklace. Not only to improve your abilities, but also magical items. I don't know what I'll get this time. Bathing in incense, Kei Chen was ready to become the Emperor of Europe. Congratulations to the host for successfully surviving for 3 years, hiding his strength, and getting the reward, Hot Vision Motherland version. Heat Vision Motherland version, from both eyes, you can emit a powerful thermal vision, which can destroy everything in an instant, and also has a certain welding ability, which is slightly weaker than the heat vision of the genuine Superman. When Kei Chen saw this ability, he was immediately overjoyed. Hot side of the motherland. There is a very classic saying. If I have the abilities of the motherland, then I am directly an ancestor. It can be seen that with such a powerful ability, if you can't have a perfect saint mentality like Superman, you will definitely become crazy. People from the motherland, already considered restrained. Of course, Kei Chen is not an ancestor now, after all, he just has a hot vision. He knew the system was reliable. It's just that he can't experiment now, so he can only feel it a little by himself, and then take the heat vision back. A secret base in a field of ice and snow, painted red outside, this is the infamous Red House. Countless young girls are collected here for brutal training. At this time, Natasha and Yelena had been training for almost a year, which was very different from before. In the dark room, Natasha handcuffed her left hand to the bed, a way for the Red House to avoid their escape, and she got used to it over the years. She lay on the bed, closed her eyes, and the memories of the past slowly emerged. The right hand slowly touched his neck, and there was a beautiful necklace here. I don't know why, since the first day she came here, everything on her body has been searched, only this necklace, which the people of the Red House seemed to be unable to see. For a year, she never took it off, just as if it didn't exist. Only in the dead of night did she dare to reach out and hold it, as if the necklace had the warmth left by her godfather. The godfather's voice has also been ringing in his ears. This is what keeps her going. Although Natasha is not as dependent on her godfather as Yelena, this sense of attachment is not small, but now Natasha has gradually become a little afraid to see Kei Chen. She was afraid that Kei Chen would see her as she was now, not the Natasha who didn't understand anything before. Gradually, Natasha fell into a deep sleep. It's just that she is also worried in her heart, how is Yelena? Yelena is younger than her, can she get used to it here? Another gloomy room. Yelena sobbed softly, and even though a year had passed, she was still full of fear about this place. She held the necklace in her hand desperately, and only by doing so could she have a sense of security in her heart. Whenever she couldn't control her tears, she would hold the necklace her godfather. At this time, her ears seemed to recall what the godfather said. Don't give up at any time. Yelena whispered, I didn't give up, godfather. But Yelena misses you so much. She didn't want to escape from this cage all the time, but she couldn't do it. Fortunately, the Red House has a way for them to escape, and that is become Black Widow. Black Widow is a code name, and the strongest female agent of each generation can get the title of Black Widow. This tradition has continued for decades, and the first generation of Black Widow, Dodie Underwood, received the title in the 60s. Knock knock. Just then, a voice appeared in the room and all the girls went quiet. They knew someone had come for rounds. The Red House used various ways to prevent them from escaping, and also completely cut off their idea of escaping. Even if you want to handcuff your hands to the head of the bed when you sleep, you must send someone to check it. Yelena only felt a palm touch her cheek. Even without opening her eyes, Yelena knew who the owner of these hands was. It was her mother, the Iron Lady Melina Voziov. There is no doubt that Melina is very familiar with the Red House. She has received the training program of the Red House 4 times, so after Alexei is locked up, she still appears in the Red House. Yelena, I know you miss him a lot, Melina said in Yelena's ear in a voice of only 2 people. A tear suddenly flowed from the corner of Yelena's eye. I promise, you'll get out of here soon, and you can go to him then. Melina continued. I know it's tough, but I'm sorry, my child. In the darkness, Melina's eyes were also full of pain. During the days with Kei Chen, she completely treated these 2 girls as her own children. But she took her children to the Red House with her own hands and trained them to be Black Widows. Every time she thought about it, Melina wanted to kill Alexei. She also regrets it every night. If she wasn't an agent of the Red House, then she and Ketchen, as well as Natasha and Yelena, a family of 4 could live happily ever after. Unfortunately, the only thing that is not in this world is regret medicine, and there is no if. She also wanted to go directly to Kei Chen, but this was impossible. The Red House would not let her go, and she was already wanted by the Lighthouse country. Yelena didn't respond to her and seemed still angry with her. Melina was also used to it, helped Yelena cover the quilt, and then left this dark and narrow painful place with an indifferent expression. What Melina didn't know was that the longing Kei Chen was dashing in the lights of Los Angeles. From the emotional point of view, Kei Chen is indeed a scumbag. After saying, I love you, to Melina, you can say the same thing to Captain Marvel Carol in a blink of an eye, and say it more than once. Of course, Carol naturally responded only with, yes, and, oh. However, for the 2 goddaughters, Kei Chen still has some emotions. It's just that these emotions can't last long every time, and they will be fascinated by the flower world outside and left behind. It's a mess that catches the eye. The flower world is too tempting. But for Kei Chen, this is also his own pursuit. When you come into this world, you always have to do what you love to do. For most people, the most important thing in a lifetime is probably to get ahead. Getting ahead, to put it bluntly, is fame and profit, at most plus power. But these things are too vulgar for Kei Chen. His pursuit is different. Li already has, he doesn't pursue earthly status too much, it's not as good as long legs. What Kei Chen prefers is to make himself physically and mentally happy, and the people of the Lighthouse country are the most able to do this, drunken dreaming of death, paralyzing themselves. After all, they all like freedom. Kei Chen is destined to be a prodigal son. Even if he stays for a short time, it is only a temporary retreat. In the following time, he completely let himself go. It's just that in Los Angeles, which has countless young and wonderful bodies, Kei Chen still hasn't found his own dish. His demands still seem to be relatively high. So Kei Chen toured around the big cities on the West Coast and finally decided to return to New York. The cities that attracted him the most were undoubtedly Los Angeles and New York. In contrast, he prefers New York. Maybe it's because of the peculiarities of New York. Troubled New York. In a building in New York, it has not been renamed Shield Building, and even the current Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency has not been changed to Shield, and the name is smelly and long. But it doesn't hinder that it has become the Climate, the largest secret service organization in the Lighthouse country. It deals with a lot of things that are unknown, including aliens. Nick Fury is with the help of Alien Credit. After working with Captain Marvel Carol, he was promoted madly in a short period of time, and he had his own office at once. Later, he even found the cosmic cube from the Yuan devouring beast, and although it cost one eye, it made this thing see the light of day. Although for a long time before, they had the cosmic cube and carried out the Pegasus project. But after the Pegasus plan, the cosmic cube disappeared, and now Nick Fury has found it back, and naturally promoted again. This speed is like riding on a rocket, and Nick Fury is greatly appreciated by his superiors. Nick Fury, who gradually became the upper level, also came up with 2 top-secret documents during this time. These 2 top-secret documents are only accessible to level 10 agents, and even he wants to make them higher. Because they are so important. I saw that on the first top-secret document, it was written, Avengers Plan. This is an idea that Nick Fury gave birth to after seeing Captain Marvel and the Skrull people. Until this moment, he was not able to get it out. Of course, it's just an idea. There are countless aliens in this universe that the Earth can't deal with, but now it's just the Skrull people who have appeared. Moreover, he did not know who else on Earth could deal with aliens besides Captain Marvel. Perhaps he can. Nick Fury looked at the second top-secret document. He wasn't sure if the other party was a person or an organization, so he wrote on it, the mysterious man who lied to Captain Marvel. I'm sorry he had to write it that way, because it's critical. Nick Fury only knows that this man is a man, because he tricked Captain Marvel Carol, and did not reveal the slightest news about this mysterious man in the end. But there is still very key news, such as the man knows that the planet C-53 refers to Earth, and he also knows the Skrull people. Therefore, Nick Fury had to wonder if this man was some ancient mysterious organization. It is even possible that the other party also has superpowers. This mystery, Nick Fury also included as a top-secret document. He was extremely curious about this man who had deceived Captain Marvel Carol's body and mind, and even Carol dared to deceive, knowing that she had just come to Earth at that time, and in that amazing way. As a result, he directly tricked her into going to the hotel to fight. This left Nick Fury not knowing what to say. What a role model for my generation. Coulson, Maria, come to my office and take the papers. He pressed the landline on the table. Coulson and Maria Hill were his most powerful subordinates, and he was able to take them with him to heaven alone. On the plane to New York, Kei Chen was very comfortable listening to the gentle whisper of the flight attendant in his ear. For someone like him who likes to enjoy, it is naturally first class. Half lying on the spacious seat, the blonde flight attendant also covered him with a thin blanket with great insight, and all the service was to the extreme. The blonde flight attendant is exclusive to the first class, waiting on the side. As long as Kei Chen hooks his finger, it seems that he can do anything. The plane was already in the air at this time, and it took 6 hours to get from Los Angeles to New York. After all, it had to cross the entire flight area, which was enough time for everything to do. However, a black and straight white woman sat directly next to Kei Chen. Her height is estimated to be about 1.7 m or 5, about the same height as Melina, and her figure is also comparable. And it looks like Bai Fumei. Kei Chen was a little puzzled. This was his exclusive seat. It's only when I'm on an airplane that I think of the land on the ground. No wonder people like to call it the leap zone. Bai Fumei, who was black and straight, said to Kei Chen. Obviously, for some reason, she was very interested in Kei Chen, and she directly dared to talk to him. Kei Chen is accustomed to this. He is often accosted by all kinds of bold women at parties. I don't know how many people want to try his kung fu. After all, this is the stereotype of the people of the lighthouse country towards the Chinese people. It can only be said that boys must protect themselves when they are outside. I, too, am not very interested in them. Kei Chen replied casually. Bai Fumei's hair is very long and straight, and she looks very smooth. That is, her appearance is slightly tough. Most white women are not very soft, and her facial features are more three-dimensional. My name is Erica. Erica stretched out her hand to Kei Chen. Kei Chen did not refuse and shook her. Kei Chen. With Kei Chen's many years of experience, it is not difficult to judge that Bai Fumei Erica in front of him is interesting to him. No way, it's too dangerous for boys to be outside. Women stared at him all the time. In particular, Erica boldly hooked his palm. But Kei Chen was indifferent. He didn't know if there was anything special about the woman in front of him. If it's just money, what's the difference between it and the guys at the party? Kei Chen's taste is still very high. Therefore, although the two talked happily for 6 hours, and even Erica directly invited Kei Chen to dinner, Kei Chen directly refused. The two just exchanged business cards, and Kei Chen left dashingly. Erica looked at his back and also showed a light smile. I finally took the initiative once, but I was rejected. I have to say that Kei Chen is really handsome. Found his own Dodge Challenger and hasn't moved for a long time. Kei Chen decided to settle in New York this time, so he needed a place to live. It's just that it's dark today, and he is going to find a hotel to rest for the night. The next day, Kei Chen woke up in the big bed of the luxury hotel, but he didn't go to the party last night, mainly because he felt bored. Being a party animal for a while has made him bored with that kind of place. The main thing is that you can't find your prey. What's the point of going? Now that he thinks about it, the prey he is looking forward to with special status will not go to the party. Therefore, Kei Chen also quit. He was afraid that when he would reduce his taste because it was too difficult, it would be a sin. Although he is the Sea King, not all women can be his fish. After returning the house, Kei Chen drove the car and found an agency to buy a house. He always has a dedication and affection for the house in his heart. Kei Chen likes to buy a house and live in his own house, which was the same in Ohio before, and he doesn't like to rent like people in Lighthouse Country. That looks dashing and free, but in fact the pain is known to itself. Moreover, the real rich people, who rents a house. There is only one reason why you can't afford to buy a house, not freedom, but poverty. Because he knew that he had money, the agent also took him directly to Long Island, east of 5th Avenue and west of Lexington Avenue, known as New York's Gold Coast. There is no doubt that the people who live here are the real rich. There are countless mansions here, and under the leadership of the intermediary, Kei Chen came to the Big Neck, one of the rich areas of Long Island. The Great Neck is a peninsula surrounded by the sea on 3 sides, with a view of Manhattan in the west and a view of Port Washington in the east. Long Island Big Neck is the first district to enter Long Island from Manhattan and Queens, and its location is good. The agent took Kei Chen to see a single-family villa. The previous owner had long been renovated, and he wanted to sell it for personal reasons. Kei Chen only needed to move in with his bag. This villa has 6 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms, only more than 2 million knives. The intermediary gushed about it. This villa is minimalist and looks very atmospheric and comfortable. There are also neighbors next to it, but there is another distance, keeping the distance and mystery. Obviously, the people who live here are rich people. Detached villas come with swimming pools, tennis courts and even a marina. Coupled with the green lawn outside, it is very neatly kept, which makes Kei Chen quite satisfied. Much better than the house he had before in Ohio. Such a large lawn definitely needs to be taken care of. Kei Chen had countless classic scenes flashing in his heart at this time. Okay, I'll buy it. Kei Chen interrupted the intermediary who was still talking. The intermediary was overjoyed, and immediately took Kei Chen to pay, and then he could move in directly. New York is a paradise for the rich, and it seems that nothing money can't do. It didn't take long for all the procedures to be completed under Kei Chen's knife pleasure. He drove his Dodge Challenger straight in. The underground garage is also large and being able to park a few cars is not a problem at all. There are stairs in the garage that go directly to the first floor, and then to the second floor via the spiral staircase. There are 2 living rooms on the first floor, both of which are extremely spacious, with white sofas and calligraphy and paintings and stoves next to them. Other than that are the dining room and kitchen, as well as the bathroom. The rooms are all on the second floor. The dining room is a classic long table that can accommodate several people at the same time, and the kitchen space is also large. Kei Chen was naturally extremely satisfied, and directly threw things into the master bedroom. The huge house seemed a little empty. After all, there are several rooms in addition to the master bedroom. Generally speaking, the mood of rich people is to hire a few maids. Maids from all over the world invite one, and then match it with a maid outfit, and every morning is a sweet host. That feeling, gee, it's beautiful, it must be. It's a pity that Kei Chen just thought about it in his mind and didn't put it into action. He was not used to having other people in his home besides his family, and he was not used to any security, maids and the like. With his current strength, who can protect him? As for the maid, thinking that there are outsiders in the house will make him awkward. Unless it is someone who is very close to him, he will treat him as his own person and will not be awkward. Soon, it was dark. Kei Chen felt a little hungry in his stomach, and he was not ready to make his own food, but wanted to go out to eat. Alone, he often copes with it, or goes out to eat. As a result, his craft is a little rusty. The Gold Coast is far from the city center, good he can drive. As his car slowly drove out of the rich area, he saw a red sports car following from behind. After the speed of the car paralleled him, the other party rolled down the window. Kei Chen turned his head and saw that the person driving the car turned out to be Erica. "So you live here too?" Erica shouted. Kei Chen was a little surprised, but there was no surprise. He has long seen that Erica is a rich second generation, and it is normal to meet in rich areas. In New York, there are only 3 famous rich areas, and the Gold Coast is undoubtedly the most famous, and the people who live here are really rich. Even Tony Stark, who helped Kei Chen work hard to make money, was rumored to have a house here. It can only be said that it is too cool to own the stock of Stark Group. Dinner together. Out of fate, Kei Chen invited Erica together. Erica decisively agreed and shouted, "I know a good place. Come after me, if you catch up with me." Kei Chen complained in his heart, but stepped on the accelerator, and the muscle car chased after him. Erica really has a fate with him. In the vast sea of people, he had seen so many women that he almost blinded him, especially the beautiful women in the party. But Erica was able to meet twice in such a short time, which is indeed fate. Chapter 11. In the following time, Erica knew where Kei-chen's home was, and from time to time she ran to hook him up. It is a pity that Kei Chen was unmoved and did not lower his standards. Even if you don't enter life, you won't agree. Just kidding, his standards are all Melina and Carol. An agent of the Red House, a Captain Marvel, status bonuses are important. Erica is just by Fume, obviously not enough to make Kei Chen's heart move. But I have to admit that with Erica, an acquaintance, it will not make Kei Chen feel bored. And Erica has never given up, and will come to Kei Chen every 3 or 5 days, trying her best to push backwards, but she has never succeeded. This made Kei Chen very angry, and he almost pressed Captain Marvel's pager. "Anyway, if you need it, look for her." But pressing it so quickly, will it make Carol feel that she can't find a replacement? Under such circumstances, Kei Chen could not feel the passage of time. If it weren't for the importance of the annual date, he might have forgotten it. It was already 1997. Kei Chen bathed in incense and made preparations before all the ceremonies again, only then quietly waited for the sky to get dark, and then signed in. He was looking forward to what rewards he would receive this time. After all, he has never done anything with anyone, high profile and low-key work, no one knows his real strength. Congratulations to the host for successfully surviving for 4 years, hiding his strength, and getting the reward, telepathy. Telepathy. It allows you to isolate all the malice from telepathic abilities, and also allows you to have powerful telepathic abilities. You can easily know what others think in their hearts, the past of others, and even if you are a little evil, you can control them. Kei Chen looked at the telepathic ability obtained by signing in, and his heart was still very happy. This is a world of mutants. There are many psychic abilities among the mutants, especially Professor X's old Yinbi, and Kei Chen is really afraid that he will not notice the other party's Dao for a while. Now with telepathy, naturally not afraid. You have psychic abilities, I don't. This is indeed an extremely powerful ability, and it is unimaginable what would happen if the user's mind was a little evil. Fortunately, Kei Chen is very attractive, and there are countless girls who do not need to use their psychic abilities. Suffice it to say that he is a good man. Unlike the hot vision, Kei Chen got the psychic ability, and suddenly felt a little itchy. Telepathy is not as easy to spot as hot sight, after all, it is more moisturizing and silent. Ordinary people will be invaded by him before they know it. Therefore, Kei Chen drove directly to the city. When he arrived in the city, Kei Chen stopped the car and tried his telepathic ability a little. In just an instant, the inner voices of countless others entered his mind. At first, Kei Chen still felt a little confused and uncomfortable. Countless sounds drilled into his mind like an ultrasonic attack, making his head feel like it was about to explode. But over time, he gradually adapted to telepathic abilities and also tried to distinguish the object from which the sound came. This Oriental man is so handsome, I don't know how Kung Fu is. It was the inner thought of a white woman staring at him. Why didn't he honk the horn and I got directly into the car? It seems that he should be a rich man. Kei Chen glanced at it. This was the idea of a woman standing on the street. Cities like New York and Los Angeles not only have many homeless people, but also many street women. They are not much better than homeless people. At most they can make a little money with their own bodies, but it is not enough for them to live a good life, just barely have a rented house, maybe still a shared house. As for escaping New York and Los Angeles, accustomed to the lights of big cities, who would easily be willing to leave? Moreover, this little money is not enough to let them leave. New York and Los Angeles are like huge cages, easy to come in and difficult to leave. Those homeless people dream of going home, from where they go. But there is no money, and you can't leave if you want to. Kei-Chen ignored the poor man, adjusted to his telepathy, and drove away. He was about to go back after a walk, but at this time, he sensed something in his mind. Immediately stopped the car. Kei-Chen saw two racially talented Xiaohei dragging a white girl towards the alley. Their racial talent was so high that if they hadn't worn clothes, Kei-Chen would never have seen them in the dark. This made him extremely disgusted. Opening the door and getting out, Kei-Chen walked directly over. He is not a helpful virgin, but seeing Xiaohei bullying people, he still can't help it. Nothing else. After staying in the lighthouse country for a long time, it is difficult for him not to discriminate against the little blacks. There is definitely a reason why whites discriminate against blackie. Just like now, they are directly committing crimes under Kei-Chen's nose. Can this be tolerated? If Kei-Chen didn't have the ability, then naturally he would endure it. But he is not a weak chicken, naturally there is no need to watch the tragedy happen. In the alley, the innocent girl looked at the two blacks in front of her with some fear, but more anger. She knows what the other person wants to do. Don't force me, she said to the two blacks who melted into the darkness. The little blacks showed their white teeth and said disdainfully, "Do you want to resist? Even if you break your throat, no one will come to your rescue." Quote, "This is their territory." The girl swallowed her saliva, knowing that she might be able to escape by paying the protection fee. For this, the gangster is still very trustworthy, and there will be no situation where someone just robs you and someone immediately robs you. This neighborhood is all dealt with, and there will be exchanges with each other. However, she did not have a penny in her pocket. Stop resisting. Xiaohei stretched out his hand to grab the girl's hand, and saw the girl shouting in horror, and a flickering green light lit up on her hand. Xiaohei was shocked and wanted to yell at the mutants. But before he could say anything, he felt a pain in his head. Boom! Xiaohei fell directly to the ground, and Kei-Chen didn't know when he had appeared behind him and directly put him down. The other accomplice didn't need to say more. He didn't know what was happening, and he fainted. In the alley, only Kei-Chen and the girl in front of him suddenly looked at each other. Is this my hero? Kei-Chen's mind sounded with what the girl was thinking, so frightened that Kei-Chen immediately turned off his telepathic ability. This ability will definitely lose interest in life after a long time, and it is not a good thing to know what the other person thinks in his heart. After a while, Kei-Chen stretched out his hand and said, "My name is Kei-Chen, what's your name?" The girl very shyly stretched out her hand to shake him. "My name is Lorna Dane." Kei-Chen recalled the green light in her palm just now, plus her name, and a handsome smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. The girl in front of her is none other than Polaris, Lorna. The story of heroes saving beauty is never out of date. Especially for adolescent girls, they think more in their hearts. After all, girlish feelings are always poetry. Lorna is like this, looking at Kei-Chen who seems to have fallen from the sky, her eyes are about to burst into stars. In her opinion, Kei-Chen is her hero, her Prince Charming, and a gift from heaven. For a while, Lorna was directly stunned. Kei-Chen is very handsome and fully meets her definition of Prince Charming. Maybe we can change places to chat. Kei-Chen showed a charming smile at Lorna. I have to say that white people are very precocious, and for white women, the most beautiful age is about 15 to 25 years old. They look as beautiful as they are in their 20s when they are teens, and they still have the vitality of youth. Just like Lorna at this time, it is estimated that she is 18 or 9 years old, but she looks like her appearance has reached the peak. Kei-Chen's favorite was Lorna's domineering expression, with a smile on the corner of her mouth. It looks beautiful and sassy. Of course, Lorna immediately accepted the invitation. She was not dressed luxuriously, very ordinary, and her trousers were still fashionable and a little torn. Of course, this is a high emotional intelligence statement. At this time, Lorna was still black hair and did not turn green. Obviously, her mutant ability has not been fully activated and controlled. Mutant abilities are not activated at birth, and sometimes even require great stimulation before the ability is revealed. Lorna followed Kei Chen out of the alley, and was a little restrained after getting on the Dodge Challenger. This muscle car looks expensive, and it is obviously not affordable for a poor girl like her. For Americans, cars are as important as family, and the first thing almost everyone does as an adult is buy a car, mostly secondhand. And there is not even a used car, which shows how miserable Lorna is. Are you hungry? Kei Chen naturally did not ask about such an embarrassing thing, but asked. A little. Lorna, of course, was hungry and ate only one burger in the evening. And at this time it was already late at night, otherwise the woman standing on the street would not have come out, and she was obviously hungry again. I'm hungry too, go eat a big meal, Kei Chen said with a smile, without giving Lorna the right to refuse, and directly drove her to a cafeteria. It was like a dream for Lorna. This is a high-level self-help. Many self-help in New York is time-limited, but because of the high price, it is naturally impossible to be limited, and it is a 24-hour self-help. Kei Chen paid the money and tip, took Lorna to sit down and said, I don't know what you want to eat, so, take whatever you want. It doesn't matter how much you eat? Lorna asked in a low voice. Of course, Kei Chen said with a smile. Seeing that Kei Chen in front of her did not dislike herself, Lorna was extremely moved in her heart. Immediately she was not embarrassed. Compared to eating, nothing was more important than this. She immediately began to eat happily, and Kei Chen also took a lot of seafood to eat in order not to embarrass her. Looking at his also bold eating, Lorna was even happier. In this case, Lorna was defenseless and was taken away by Kei Chen. Lorna is pitiful, she didn't know who her parents were since she was born, and she grew up in an orphanage. For unknown reasons, no one has been willing to adopt her, perhaps she herself is unwilling. When she grew up, Lorna left the orphanage and found a job enough to support herself. But it was at this time that she almost smashed her colleague to death due to a mechanical failure, and her mutant ability was activated. Lorna took easy control of the machine, but lost her job. She trusted Kei Chen very much, so she also confided in him directly. Mutants are not unusual in this world, and certainly not much better. Most mutants choose to seek refuge in Xavier's Genius Academy, founded by Professor X, while mutants outside are in a difficult situation. Humans are afraid of unknown forces. They are afraid of the mutants around them because mutants have the ability to kill them at will. Therefore, Lorna wanted to know if Kei Chen hated mutants, and if she did, she would leave directly. She kept staring at Kei Chen closely, but Kei Chen did not change his expression in the slightest. Instead, he smiled and said, Lorna, it's so cool that you even have the ability to mutate, I like it. Of course Kei Chen likes it, Lorna is his dish. She is different from those enchanting slut. It made Kei Chen very moved. Lorna didn't know, but she was also moved. Really, of course, this is your unique talent, Kei Chen said and grabbed Lorna's hand. This scared Lorna to quickly scatter, not anything else, but she had oil on her hands. After eating and drinking, Kei Chen left with her. Walking on the street, Lorna looked hesitant to say something, and Kei Chen naturally wouldn't let her run. It's all this time, in the dead of night, lonely men and widows. Well, there are still quite a few people on the street. As long as you don't go to a place like a slum at night, you don't have to be afraid in the city center or rich areas. It is the little blacks who should be feared, because even in the early hours of the morning, there are people patrolling here, weapons in hand, patrolling every little black spot. Lorna, I'll take you home. Kei Chen grabbed her little hand and said. No, number. Quote, who knows, Lorna's head is shaking like a rattle. Kei Chen thought for a moment, maybe Lorna's situation was worse than he thought. After all, her situation seems to be no different from those homeless people, and it is basically impossible to have a fixed residence. And without a fixed residence, there can be no work. Unexpectedly, Polaris Lorna is also one of them. It can be seen that Lorna is a woman with strong self-esteem. Therefore, Kei Chen said directly to her, Lorna, don't hide from you, I just came to New York not long ago, and I live alone. I still have a room there, or you can move in with me. When Lorna heard this, she looked at Kei Chen directly with question marks on her face. That's too straightforward, right? Shouldn't you date first? This, not quite right. But this condition really made Lorna unable to refuse. She wanted a stable place to live too much to return to the place that was a nightmare for her. There's nothing bad about it. If you feel overwhelmed, just take care of my living. Kei Chen said the two words living very seriously. Lorna's little face was red. They were all adults, she naturally knew what it meant. But when she thought about it, it seemed that there was only so much she could give. She also has to be glad that she has better physical condition. So it looked like a deal, and it was done. As long as both sides get what they want, then everything is logical. Lorna asked Kei Chen to drive herself to the place where she stayed first to pack her things. Although those things are not valuable, they carry her memories. Lorna was already looking forward to moving into Kei Chen's house. This also made Kei Chen sigh. Too real. Heroes saving beauty are actually divided into two situations. If she is handsome, the rescued woman must say that the little woman has nothing to reward, and can only promise with her body. If you look ugly, then sorry, only in the next life to be a cow and a horse. Don't think about it in this life. Lorna regarded Kei Chen as Prince Charming in her heart, and she couldn't say that she still had inappropriate thoughts. Now that Prince Charming is going to take her home, can she still refuse? Naturally, he promised very happily. It's like an ugly duckling about to turn into a white swan. Kei Chen drove Lorna to a dark alley, where even the streetlights were broken, which is really rare in New York. And this piece is not even willing to come over, which shows what poverty is. Even in places like New York, there is no escape the division of rich areas and slums, and where there is no light, there is always darkness. Lorna did not let Kei Chen follow in, but entered the alley by herself. Without going in, Kei Chen could also imagine the situation inside. Probably Lorna found a place where she could barely rest, endured the dirty and messy environment, and barely survived here. Thinking like this, Kei Chen felt that his responsibilities were a little heavier and became more sacred. After all, with great power comes great responsibility. He couldn't do anything else, and it was still okay to take in a poor homeless person like Lorna. A few more, please. It took about an hour for Lorna to come out of it with a worn-out suitcase in tow. She is naturally not reluctant to this kind of place, but full of expectations for her new home. I don't know what her new home looks like, but she is already content to be able to live with Prince Charming. Kei Chen helped her put the box in the trunk, and then drove back to Long Island. When the vehicle came to the rich area, the smile on Lorna's face became even more obvious. She naturally wished she had a better life. The saliva is going to fall. Kei Chen teased Lorna. Lorna suddenly wiped the corners of her mouth. Badass. Lorna was tricked, but only shyly patted Kei Chen. Kei Chen, who was holding the steering wheel, smiled. If you lose money, you should have bought a Ferrari. Driving a Ferrari with one hand was a skill he had always dreamed of. It's just that now in the United States, the Ferrari brand is not popular, and few people buy it. Back at the detached villa, Kei Chen drove into the underground garage, and then went up the spiral staircase to the living room with shock. Is this where I will live in the future? Lorna said with some disbelief, and at the same time a little inferior. She suddenly felt that she didn't deserve it here. Even in her dreams, she had never dreamed of such a situation. Because she hasn't seen it, she can't construct a picture in her dreams. Yes, the room is on the second floor, you can choose one. Kei Chen said with a smile, pulling her luggage directly up to the second floor. They have already come in, and Kei Chen naturally won't let Lorna fly away. Therefore, even though Lorna was very restrained, she honestly followed. Which one do you want? Kei Chen asked Lorna. Lorna took a casual look and chose the room next to the master bedroom. I want this. Kei Chen helped her carry her luggage in. Everything else was prepared long ago, and there was no need for Lorna to do anything at all. For Lorna, it was like a dream. Kei Chen knew that she couldn't believe it, so he said, there are many toilets and bathrooms outside. After that, he directly closed the door and went out. He is still very measured, and now is not the time to rush. Lorna is already at home, and she is afraid that she will not be able to eat. It's just the difference between eating early and eating late. He agrees with one truth. That is, you can't eat hot tofu in a hurry. In the room, it took Lorna a long time to digest all this, and the smile on her face did not stop. She is sure that she has met Prince Charming, and Kei Chen is the hero who took her to escape the world of suffering. Holding back her thoughts of venting, Lorna hurried to wash herself before daring to touch the clean bed. While doing these things, she has been humming beautiful tunes. Lying on the comfortable queen bed she had never used, Lorna stared wide-eyed at the snow-white and immaculate ceiling. There was no doubt that she was going to lose sleep. The next day, the sun woke up Lorna. She opened her eyes in confusion, feeling the environment that made her extremely uncomfortable. Great, it's not a dream. She was afraid that it was a dream and did not even dare to sleep. Now it's finally reassuring. It's over, I still have to take care of Mr. Ketchen's living. Unconsciously, Lorna respected Kei Chen. She immediately put on her best clothes, but she still looked like a spiritual little sister without a bit of dignified temperament. Unable to manage so much, Lorna pedaled downstairs. As soon as she arrived, she smelled the fragrance wafting from the kitchen. So fragrant, Lorna swallowed her saliva and saw the table of dishes made by Kei Chen. Having a second person in the family also activated Kei Chen's cooking skills, making him want to show his hands well. There is a saying that if you want to conquer a woman's heart, you must first conquer her stomach. Therefore, he deliberately made dishes that were easy for Americans to accept, such as lemon duck, which was sour and spicy. But in reality, for Lorna, there is not so much to find fault with. She's long tired of eating all that junk food. How is it possible to refuse this delicacy? Mr. Ketchen, you are too powerful. Lorna looked at Kei Chen with stars in her eyes. Just call me by name, and we'll be a family from now on. Kei Chen put his arm around Lorna's waist and said, Okay, Ketchen. Lorna didn't care either, and put her backhand on Kei Chen's shoulder, looking like a good brother. For Lorna, who acted with a big grin, Kei Chen appreciated it very much. Those who are ugly are called men and mothers-in-law, and those who are beautiful are called beautiful and sassy. Let's open the meal. Kei Chen asked Lorna to sit down and eat. Although it was breakfast, he hadn't done it himself for a long time, and it was also extremely hearty. Americans' eating habits are not like this, generally eat casually in the morning and noon, and the most important meal is in the evening. But Lorna didn't care about this, she only wished she could eat, and she didn't care about her figure. After eating, Kei Chen also took Lorna out to buy clothes. In short, everything Kei Chen did was to try to integrate Lorna into this new home, and the effect was obvious. Feeling Lorna's soft skin, Kei Chen, who had entered the state of a sage, was also leaning comfortably on the pillow. Lorna's restless little hands drew circles on his body. For Lorna's emotions, Kei Chen didn't know why it was deeper. Maybe he has always liked this domineering Miss Polaris. Recalling the Iron Lady Melina and Captain Marvel Carol, Kei Chen also secretly contrasted. Being with Melina is obviously because of stimulation, and as for love, it is more from long-term love. Melina is an agent who came to the United States to do a mission, and was taken down by Kei Chen during the mission, which was simply exciting. Emotions are slowly cultivated, and more from the two goddaughters, Natasha and Elena. Not surprisingly, next year Natasha will become the best Black Widow, and she has done it all in just 3 years. This is something that has not happened in decades, starting with the first generation of Black Widow Dodie Underwood. Kei Chen didn't know why he was still looking forward to it. As for Captain Marvel Carol, Kei Chen knew that she couldn't stay on Earth longer, so she was also in a very relaxed state and had no scruples. It turns out that no matter how attractive he is, it is impossible for him to keep Captain Marvel on Earth. Left him a pager, which can be said to be a lifelong bond. Only Lorna is different. The first time Kei Chen saw Lorna, he felt that she would always accompany him. Therefore, he naturally worked harder to help her integrate here. Lorna saw all this, and she was already moved, and she sneaked into his room directly last night. Raise your hand. Kei Chen patted Lorna, and Lorna sat up in understanding and began the morning exercise. It is not for nothing that the plan of the day lies in the morning and the plan of the year lies in the spring. Unlike the others, Kei Chen, who had crossed into this world, had never thought of doing something extraordinary. What he wanted was simple. Be happy and happy yourself. As for such a thing as strength, it will come slowly. So he has force, but never deliberately shows anything. Of course, when it was time to strike, Kei Chen would not show mercy to his subordinates. Next, Kei Chen and Lorna spent a happy time. To Kei Chen's surprise, Erica did not appear for 2 months. During this time, Kei Chen really forgot Erica. But now that I think about it, it feels incredible. Even if Erica knew about Lorna, she couldn't give up without saying a word, right? What happened? Unfortunately, Kei Chen didn't know where Erica lived, and it was not good for the family to see it, so he could only give up. For Erica, although he appreciated, there was nothing special about him. Kei Chen quickly left her behind. Happy here, not thinking of Erica too. That night, Kei Chen was lying in bed, and Lorna was bathing in the bathroom. The two had just returned from a round of playing outside. Due to Lorna's special reasons, Kei Chen naturally took her to enjoy life. If you have money and don't enjoy life, when will you wait? The most painful thing for people is that people are gone, and the money has not been spent. After a day of playing, Kei Chen waited for Lorna's service. After all, taking her home is to let her take care of her own living. As a result, Lorna's exclamation was heard from the bathroom. Ah, Kei Chen, Kei Chen. Lorna first exclaimed, and then frantically shouted Kei Chen's name. This startled Kei Chen, and immediately jumped up from the bed and ran over. Kei Chen directly knocked open the bathroom door. Fortunately Lorna was fine. The situation in the bathroom was also different from what he thought. There was no second person except Lorna, and Lorna was not injured, but lay in the bathtub, looking at her hands and hair in horror. What's wrong? Kei Chen did not look carefully, but immediately held her hand. My hair, Kei-chen, my hair. Lorna finally stabilized a bit, but was still horrified. Kei Chen looked at her hair. Originally, Lorna had silky black hair, but now, under the washing of water, it seemed to be dying. More than half of the hair has turned green, not the black as before. Looking at Lorna's green hair, Kei Chen knew what had happened. He hugged Lorna in the bathtub tightly and said, "It's okay, it's just a small thing." Why is that? Lorna could feel her mutant abilities suddenly become much stronger. It seems that after her hair turned green, it stimulated her mutant ability again. But the mutant ability not only failed to bring her a sense of security, but also made Lorna extremely afraid. She was afraid that Kei Chen would dislike herself. As if feeling her thoughts, Kei Chen patted her back to calm her emotions. Lorna, because you're gifted, Kei Chen said seriously. Lorna's talent is really terrifying, casually breaking through the limits of mutant abilities. I don't know who Lorna's parents really are. Of course, in this mutant world, it is very likely to be Magneto. Gifted, Lorna muttered, but she didn't want it. She felt that with a wave of her hand, she could control everything as she wanted, which she could not do before. But she didn't have any joy, but looked at Kei Chen's face, afraid to see any uneasy emotions from his face. Fortunately, Kei Chen did not, but was very interested, and directly got into the bathtub. It seems that Lorna's green hair has brought him a different experience. No, Lorna exclaimed, but a bath that only envied the mandarin ducks and did not envy the fairies had begun. These times, Kei Chen and Lorna have already known the route and have an extremely deep understanding. After Kei Chen's unremitting efforts, Lorna finally didn't bother with hair and mutant abilities. On the contrary, standing in front of the mirror, she thinks that her green hair is quite good looking. Honey, don't I look better with green hair? She asked Kei Chen in the state of the sage. Kei Chen said without looking at her, it is indeed good looking, very suitable for you. But you didn't even look at me. Lorna was immediately dissatisfied. That's because I've seen enough just now. Kei Chen immediately replied, not only watching, but also grabbing and playing. It can only be said that the current North Star is the Miss North Star in his memory. I couldn't see it just now, but I have to watch it now. Lorna pounced directly, interrupting Kei Chen's thoughts. Kei Chen had no choice, so he had to take a serious look at Lorna again. I don't know why, After he felt his hair turn green, Lorna's whole body became more confident. Could it be that true? If you want to live a decent life, you have to have a little green on your head. Ahem, it's good that it's Lorna Belt. Look, my dear. Under the starry sky, Lorna said to Kei Chen. They went out to the beach tonight to play, and Lorna let herself go. At this time, her hands glowed green and were aimed at her feet. Soon, her whole person slowly floated. Awesome. Kei Chen's eyes also lit up, looking at the confident Lorna. Lorna's mutant ability has indeed increased a lot. The confident Lorna is also more attractive, making him like it even more. Speaking of which, Lorna's ability is exactly the same as Magneto, but it is weakened a little. But it's all about controlling the magnetic field, so it looks a lot like it. Magneto and Lorna's abilities are both born for big scenes. At this time, Lorna, like an elf under the night sky, was surrounded by green light, floating on the ground, looking at Kei Chen with a smile on the corner of her mouth. Suddenly, she flew directly to Kei Chen's side and hugged Kei Chen. After the two got tired of playing, they drove home and prepared to go home. Good thing the villa is not far away, they are now on the Gold Coast. It's just that when passing by a villa, Kei Chen glanced outside and suddenly found something. Kei Chen saw a woman in a red tights running past on the lawn in the distance, and it looked like someone he had seen. At least cooked. Who would be the people who knew each other well? Kei Chen drove the car home, put Lorna home and said, Lorna, I have something to go out. Quote. Come back early. Lorna is not too clingy, she is a very independent personality, not the kind of little woman. She's having a good time now. And she also vaguely felt that Kei Chen was not something she could be restrained by alone. Kei Chen turned around and drove towards the place just now, but there was obviously no figure. However, he smiled slightly and immediately used his telepathic ability. His telepathic abilities are incomparably powerful. This ability is strong and weak. If it is weaker, it may only be able to sense people within a few meters around you. But Kei Chen was different. He felt that he was at least a gamma-level ability. I just don't know if Professor X is as strong. Therefore, soon Kei Chen located the red shadow before through his telepathic ability. Hell's Kitchen, on a tall building, two figures, one red and one black, are chasing. Slut, you can't run away today. The black figure following behind shouted loudly, apparently a woman running ahead. The chasing man was dressed in strange clothes, but he was easily recognizable because he wore a turban on his head, and there was a very obvious bullseye in the center of his eyebrows. This clear characteristic means that he is the right-hand man of the underground underworld King Jinhe, Bullseye. Bullseye used to be a mercenary, but after meeting Jin, he completely worked for Jin and also won Jinhe's trust. It can be said that Jin does not have many employees, including the red tights woman in front of him, but the only one who really trusts and accepts as his subordinate is the Bullseye. The woman in a red tights glanced back, looking a little helpless. She held two three-pronged long swords in her hand, and she had long silky hair, dark and straight. This is the long-disappeared Erica. She really wanted to go to Kei Chen, but 2 months ago, she was targeted by Jinhe's subordinates. In order not to bring trouble to Kei Chen, she chose to disappear temporarily. Bullseye wanted Erica's life and did not give up for 2 months in a row, which also made Erica complain. Apparently, through several encounters, she confirmed that she was not a bull's opponent. Her strength comes from the stick. She is trained according to the ninja, proficient in various schools of martial arts, apparatus, and various physical indicators have reached the peak of human beings. But Bullseye is more powerful. Bullseye is not only capable of close combat, but more powerful is his innate throwing ability, which makes his darts and other dark weapons extremely powerful, and he can torture her not lightly without getting close to Erica. What's more, every time she fights with the Bullseye, Erica feels more and more inferior. Bullseye actually studied her movements, and now, even what her next move is, Bullseye can guess. This frightened Erica. Phew. Just as Erica jumped in midair, Bullseye threw a dart directly. Erica was unable to catch in the air, and could only forcibly control a rotation of her body, not letting the dart hit her point, but she was still cut. Erica, who landed on the roof of the opposite building, broke out in a cold sweat, regardless of the trauma on her waist. If she had just been hit in the air, she would have died if she fell off the roof. You have nowhere to run. Bullseye jumped over and said quietly. Erica's waist was already injured, and every movement felt a little stagnant, obviously affected. Therefore, she was not ready to run either. Flicking her long hair, Erica clenched her three-pronged longsword with both hands, ready to fight the bullseye to the death. Seeing this, the bullseye was not in a hurry to attack, but used the way of attacking the heart. You like an Oriental man, right? Bullseye said with an evil smile. What does it seem to be called Ketchen? When Erica heard this, her face suddenly changed and she asked, what do you want to do? Nothing, just want him to see your demeanor and then cut his throat. Bullseye smiled and said this sentence, which really made Erica break the defense. Erica was crazy and attacked madly towards the bullseye. But Bullseye dodged easily, keeping his distance so that Erica couldn't attack him at all. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded behind the bullseye. I'll see Erica's demeanor myself, you don't have a chance. Kei Chen's faint voice made Bullseye only feel that it sounded in hell. Who? Bullseye turned his head, and the moment he saw Kei Chen, he felt an incomparably sharp pain in his mind. He recognized who Kei Chen was, but he didn't have the heart to think about why he was here. In just an instant, Kei Chen's telepathic ability controlled Bullseye, an ordinary person without superpowers. Kei Chen had a smile on his face. Sure enough, in the face of superpowers, no matter how strong human training was, they were also ants. So this Captain America can be outrageous with Thanos. Those who can fight Thanos are definitely not ordinary superheroes like Iron Man and Captain America. At least Captain Marvel, Thor, and Wanda the Scarlet Witch have the ability to fight Thanos. Otherwise, what has a cosmic overlord become on Earth? Kei Chen. Erica, who stopped moving, was pleasantly surprised when she saw Kei Chen. She was still thinking about who would say such a thing, but seeing that it was Kei Chen, it was fine. Why are you here? Erica looked at Kei Chen with a smile on her face, feeling that her wounds were no longer painful. If I don't come to save you, you will be taken down by him. Kei Chen rolled his eyes, which made Erica's face full of happiness. I don't know what she's happy about. He also knows now that Erica is actually a ninja, no wonder he always feels that this name is a little familiar. Thinking of Bullseye, the enemy of Bullseye was Daredevil, and he finally knew where he had heard the name Erica. In general, Erica turned out to be no ordinary person either. Then Kei Chen didn't have anything to worry about. What's wrong with him? Erica asked, looking at the dull-looking Bullseye. It's okay, he's going to die soon. Kei Chen said with a smile. Erica was a little puzzled. But she didn't care. Kei Chen came to save her, which proved that the man in front of him was just duplicitous, did not care about her on the surface, but actually had her in his heart. This made Erica happy. It's a self-guide. However, she had always wanted to reverse Kei Chen, and Kei Chen had long been indifferent. Under Erica's surprised gaze, Bullseye walked directly to the edge of the roof by himself, and then jumped down. Quote? Erica quickly ran over and looked down. Just saw the bullseye smashed on a car, the car immediately sounded the alarm, and blood stained the ground. How did you do it? She looked at Kei Chen in shock. Erica always thought that Kei Chen was just an ordinary person, but she didn't expect it to be so uncanny. You guess, Kei Chen said with a smile. Erica rolled her beautiful eyes and asked unrelentingly, are you a mutant? It's not, Kei Chen said immediately. How could he be a mutant? The mutant is so handsome as him. So how strong are you? At this time, Erica seemed to have become a curious baby, and there were 100,000 puzzles in her heart. Kei Chen stretched out his hand, leaving a little gap between his thumb and forefinger and said, I'm only a little bit stronger than you. Then, he left here directly holding Erica's waist, also so that she would not ask again. Erica's waist was injured, so she naturally let him hold it, looking at Kei Chen's side face and wanting to gnaw it directly. How romantic this is. Not long after the two left, a car stopped nearby and saw the bullseye that was smashed like soft mud. His whole body must have been shattered, and it is estimated that he will not be able to die anymore. These people are all Jinhee's subordinates, and knowing how much Jinhee sees the bullseye, they immediately come over to collect his body. But unexpectedly, they noticed that there was still vitality in the bullseye. This is Xiaoqiang, right? They looked up at the tall buildings, at least 10 floors, and the bullseye did not die directly. But alas, what's the use of being alive? They put the bullseye back and immediately went to report to Kim. At this time, Kim was in a secret laboratory underground in New York, which was very large and looked like he had hollowed out the ground. Jin was now in the glass room directly above the laboratory, which was surrounded by white flakes and a huge quantum collider in the middle. He was admiring his masterpiece. When can I start using it? Kim also asked the scientist he had invited. In order to complete this experiment, the underground Emperor Jin invited dozens of scientific researchers. This is an absolute feat. It's going to be a while. The main thing is the parameters. The white-bearded scientist spoke. Jin is the Gold Lord after all, and they still respect it. I can't wait, my wife, my Richard. A soft smile appeared on Jin's square-like face. He was burly and full of explosive muscles, which made him look extremely bloated. The strength of the underground emperor is also undoubted. Since his debut, no one has ever defeated Jinhe, and all his enemies have been slaughtered by him. It was precisely because he burned, killed and looted that he ascended to the throne of the underground king of New York. However, such a gold will also be lonely, and his wife Vanessa broke into his life and bore him a son, Richard. But soon, Kim and his son Richard were assassinated, and Kim began to take revenge like crazy, killing countless people. After calming down, Kim knows that it is easy to enter this industry, but it is impossible to retreat with the whole body. So he killed his wife Vanessa with his own hands. But apparently, Kim regretted it. The quantum collider can make up for his regrets. Man cannot be resurrected after death, but the wife and children of another world are also his wives and children. At this time, Jinhee's thoughts were the same as the later Scarlet Witch Wanda. It's just that Wanda uses the power of magic, while Kim uses the power of science. Jinhee had already thought of that scene, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He returns to the Jin mansion, only to learn the bad news that Bullseye has almost died. This made Jinhee, who was immersed in fantasy, shocked in vain, and his eyes erupted with an astonishing murderous aura. Erica, I'm underestimating you. Kim immediately thought of Erica. Because Bullseye's mission is to hunt her down. Erica seemed to him to be just a small person, but now, the little person defeated the Bullseye, which Kim did not expect. Take the Bullseye to the lab. Jinhee said with an indifferent look in his eyes. He resisted the thought of going to Erica for revenge now. His experiment is about to begin, and it is not suitable for extraneous branches. Although he didn't take Erica seriously, he didn't want to take any risks. Kei Chen drove Erica back to Long Island. He looked at Erica's outfit, and he didn't know how many times he had seen it. I designed it myself, does it look good? Erica asked with a smile on her face. She seemed to know Kei Chen's hobbies. In the past, no matter how beautiful the evening dress she wore, Kei Chen would only look at it a few times, and would not stare like now. This also made Erica understand that it turned out that Kei Chen liked uniforms. And the red ninja suit on her body was designed by herself. The upper body is like a small vest, just showing the belly button, and the bottom is red tights, which shows off the figure. So, Kei Chen naturally did not expose his essence. I still have a black set. Erica's dark green eyes were full of smiles. Wear it for you next time. Kei Chen swallowed his saliva. What a grinding leprechaun. In order not to embarrass in front of Erica, he immediately coughed twice and asked, how the hell did you provoke him? Erica sat down, lay down in the car chair and said, his name is Bullseye, I have done things with him under Kimhee, and he remembers to hate me. Quote. Kimhee. Kei Chen naturally knew Jinhee, so he was also curious to hear Erica mention this name. Yes, Kim is not a ruthless person. At the mention of this name, Erica seemed a little scared. Then she elaborated on how terrifying Jinhee was, and asked Kei Chen not to provoke him. Kei Chen knew that she cared about herself, so she also nodded. Don't worry, if he doesn't take the initiative to provoke me, I won't care about him. It depends on whether Kim will avenge the Bullseye. After all, listening to Erica, it seems that Kim doesn't care about Bullseye. Bullseye is his faithful subordinate. Erica nodded. She didn't say anything more about her past. She didn't want Kei Chen to have bad thoughts about this, so she stayed away from her. Send Erica home, and Kei-Chen also went back directly. Although Erica wanted to invite him in, everyone knew what would happen. But seeing that Erica was injured, Kei-Chen also refused. After all, she still has a wound on her waist, and it is definitely inconvenient to exercise. When the car pulled into the underground garage, he saw that the lights in the hall were on. Lorna, the green-haired Lorna, really didn't sleep, and was watching TV at this time, but she was obviously absent-minded. You're back. Seeing Kei-Chen return, Lorna was relieved. But after she came to Kei-Chen's side, she immediately looked at Kei-Chen with scrutinizing eyes. You smell of another woman's perfume. Lorna looked at Kei-Chen and said, but there was no complaint. She knew that it was impossible to enjoy Kei-Chen alone, and she had long expected this moment. Kei-Chen, who heard this, also smiled bitterly. He deliberately opened the window and rushed back, but it still left the smell of Erica's perfume. No way, European and American people like to use perfume the most, not only for women, but also for men. Especially some men, the strong smell of perfume on their bodies even makes people feel sick. A friend. Kei-Chen didn't explain much. Maybe she'll come tomorrow and you'll see her. He is not afraid of the meeting of Lorna and Erica. As the Sea King, he is afraid of the Asura field. Instead, they want to please themselves. Don't talk. Lorna heard this and grabbed him directly and headed for the room. Oath sovereignty, The next day, Erica came. Without the involvement of the bullseye, Kei-Chen also has the strength to not be harmed, and she naturally will not be scrupulous. It's just that it was not Kei-Chen who opened the door for her, but a green-haired woman. The key thing is that the green-haired woman is still wearing a white shirt that is obviously not hers, and she tilts her head to look at her with a smile on her lips. Who are you? How do you wear Kei-Chen's clothes? Erica asked forcefully, holding back her anger. She just didn't come to Kei-Chen for 2 months, and she was actually taken first. Obviously she came first. You're the Erica he said. Lorna said with a victor's smile. Didn't he tell you? My name is Lorna, it's his. It's my sister. Kei-Chen came out of the house at this time and did not let Lorna continue. Otherwise, Erica will definitely be angry and relapse from her old injuries. He didn't expect Lorna to be so aggressive. Missteps. Sister. Erica looked at Kei-Chen, and then at Lorna, where is the slightest similarity? But she obviously knows what the situation is in her heart, and can only secretly scold the men for being big pigs trotters. I made a hearty breakfast, let's eat some. Kei-Chen pulled Lorna away and let Erica speak first. Erica thought for a while, chose to endure the humiliation and burden, and walked in a grieve. Fortunately, only good food can live up to it. You even know how to cook. Looking at the hearty breakfast, Erica asked in surprise. Give it a try. Hearing Kei-Chen's words, Erica chose to try. Her appetite is not as monotonous as that of other Americans, mainly rich people, and likes to eat more. Like those poor people, who eat hamburger fried chicken every day, it is strange that they can eat Chinese food. Erica does not have this trouble. She has been to Japan when she used to learn ninjutsu, and she has a certain understanding and acceptance of Chinese food. Delicious. Erica's eyes lit up, and she was immediately happy under the effect of food. Seeing that she was in a good mood, Kei-Chen also reintroduced them to each other. But obviously, with Lorna's strong start, Erica has a hard time getting along with her. And in Erica's heart, she always thought that she came first. She has known Kei-Chen for a long time, and Lorna is a wild girl who appeared out of nowhere. How could this convince Erica? The relationship between the two was thus deadlocked. Especially seeing Lorna fancy wearing Kei-Chen's clothes, Erica gritted her teeth even more angrily. This blue pool. But Erica didn't have a chance to overtake her. Lorna looked at Kei-Chen too closely, so that Erica could not find as good a chance as before. In the open and dark battle between Lorna and Erica, time also flies. Soon it was New Year's Eve, and tomorrow was 1998. Although it is not the turn of the century, it still excites many people. Kei-Chen is also ready to take Erica and Lorna out to have a good time. To be honest, he was actually the one who profited. Because Lorna has to fight Erica, he tries a lot of new ways to play. This was not what Lorna would have refused to do before. Now with the crisis of Erica, she let go. No wonder the emperor's concubines are fighting, and the emperor has few to stop it. It turns out that the benefits are the emperor's. After all, under this kind of fighting, the concubine will only do everything in her power to please the emperor. Just as they were discussing where to go, a guest came to the villa. Erica opened the door and immediately looked out of the door suspiciously. It was a woman in OL clothing, and she saw that she was a secretary. Erica, who is it? Kei Chen asked casually. As long as it's not someone who is golden. At first, they were also wary of Kim Hee's retaliation, but found that Kim was not moving. This also made Kei Chen sigh. This kind of character will really endure. I don't know. Erica shook her head. Then look at the woman in front of you and ask her to introduce herself. The woman also understood very well, and immediately introduced loudly, Mr. Ketchen. Hello, I am Virginia Pepper Potts of the Stark Group, and I am currently Mr. Tony Stark's secretary. Quote. Come in. When Kei Chen heard this, he didn't expect it to be her, so he spoke. Soon, he saw the young Pepper. Pepper was not very pretty when she was young, and can only be described as cute. She has a little freckles on her face, which does not look so perfect, but her figure and appearance are still very good. Lorna and they don't have freckles, so Pepper is a novelty to Ketchen. Are freckles beautiful? It's really personal, but this kind of thing generally appears on white faces, which is actually a defect. But aesthetics can be defined by themselves. They have always hinted to themselves, freckles are beautiful, so aesthetics are set. There are many people who really like freckles and think it looks good. But for those people who have not hinted that their freckles are good looking, they will not feel it. Of course, Kei Chen didn't say these words, but he didn't say anything. He just thought that Pepper was not bad, and he didn't think she was ugly. Kei Chen saw that Pepper was a little uncomfortable, so he immediately said, Mr. Ketchen, Mr. Stark invited you to participate in the Stark Group's New Year's Eve party. Sir, as the third largest shareholder of the Stark Group, Mr. Stark would love to meet you. Americans love to invite people to parties, and coming directly to the door is obviously the greatest respect. Kei Chen thought for a moment and agreed. Tony Stark has long noticed him. After all, Kei Chen has been buying the shares of Stark Group, and it is impossible for him to see it. For Tony, he naturally wanted to see what Kei Chen wanted to do and whether it would affect him. Other ideas don't. The most important thing about capital is to learn to share, and even Tony knows that money should be earned together, not swallowed by himself. Of course, it is for the rich to share together, and the poor are waiting to be oppressed. We'll be there on time. Kei Chen said. Pepper showed a professional smile in the workplace, very sweet. I'll tell Mr. Stark. Then she didn't stay much or look around, and just left. For the two women in Kei Chen's family, she directly turned a blind eye. It is normal for rich people to play with flowers. Tony Stark changes women almost a day, changing more often than clothes, but in this way Pepper can endure, and also marry Tony and have children. You can see their values. As long as you're not married, you can play whatever you want. A rich person like Kei Chen is not a playboy to be strange. Watching Pepper leave with a swaying posture, she estimated how long she had not been in the Stark Group. Pepper now looks to be in her 20s, not as sophisticated as the back. Of course, there is also a more youthful charm. Somebody is going to look straight. Lorna snorted coldly. Erica sat directly next to Kei Chen and said, it turns out that you are a shareholder of Stark Group. Quote. No wonder it's so rich. Through the efforts of Tony and his father Howard, the Stark Group has become a behemoth in the arms world. Especially Tony. He was only 21 years old when he took over the Stark Group, and he is now less than 30 years old, but he has achieved great results, and the Stark Group's stock has increased I don't know how many times. This is genius. Are you going to go at night? Kei Chen asked with a smile. I don't like going to parties. Lorna shook her head directly and said. She had hardly participated in this kind of thing since she was a child, and she didn't want to adapt to it. Then I'll go. Seeing that Lorna was not going, Erica realized that the opportunity had come, and immediately said with silky eyes. Lorna didn't say anything more, she already knew that she couldn't stop it. Erica refuses to give up, what else can she do? Thinking about it, Lorna can only be attributed to Kei Chen being too good, and excellent men are always attractive. Night falls. Kei Chen drove Erica's sports car to the start group. The Dodge Challenger is good, but it's obviously not a good class in this kind of party. Erica didn't want her man to be compared, so she asked Kei Chen to drive her car. She has a lot of cars, after all, she is the real Bai Fumei. Sure enough, there were many high-end cars at the scene, and their arrival was not very attractive. But when both of them got out of the car, they immediately attracted everyone's attention. Kei Chen was wearing a black suit, his figure was tall, and his expression was calm. Erica is a big red evening gown, with a deep V back exposed, like a blooming flower. She loves black and red, and her clothes are basically these two colors. The two are talented and beautiful, and I don't know how many people are staring. The women all looked at Kei Chen, the men all looked at Erica, and then looked at Kei Chen, feeling that they were not Kei Chen's opponents, so they did not dare to provoke. Start group's party, naturally, most of them are employees, and there are many celebrities. Kei Chen didn't know a few, but Erica knew a lot. In this case, Kei Chen naturally let go of her and let her communicate. Because the little pepper on the side also walked towards him. Mr. Ketchen, Mr. Stark is waiting for you inside. Pepper is also wearing an OL outfit, which looks a little out of place with the party. Kei Chen glanced at her straight calves and smiled. You are so beautiful, you should go and change a dress. Thanks, I will, Little Pepper also said immediately when he heard this, and then led the way for Kei Chen. The praise of Kei Chen, the Little Pepper is still very useful. Right inside, she took Kei Chen to a private conference room and then helped him open the door. Thank you. Kei Chen patted Little Pepper's back and walked directly in. As soon as I entered, I saw Tony Stark, a playboy, touching the thigh of a tender model. The woman was somewhat familiar and seemed to have seen it on the cover of which magazine. Sure enough, play with flowers. Seeing Kei Chen coming, Tony immediately let the young model leave. Hi Ketchen, I'm Tony Stark. Tony was as enthusiastic as meeting his own brother. No way, he wants to win over Kei Chen now. If Kei Chen didn't have so many shares, he wouldn't have looked at it twice. Tony, finally see you. Kei Chen also didn't have any feelings for this playboy who thought highly of himself, but he still pretended to be enthusiastic. He and Tony are the same, but he is more demanding, unlike Tony who does not refuse. But precisely because of this, the same kind often hates the same kind the most. The two smirking boys suddenly started talking, as if they had known each other for many years. After a while, Tony asked, I wonder how you bought so many Stark Group shares. Knowing that Tony too was poor, Kei Chen also smiled and said, because you are a genius, Tony. Quote. Oh, Tony raised an eyebrow. Of course he is a genius, does this still need to be said? His smug look made Kei Chen also feel funny. The current Tony Stark is really a conceited guy, and this kind of person will think that he is a fool whether he is friends or enemies. Kei Chen compared Tony in the future with Tony now, and sighed that they were completely two people. But he didn't show it, but spoke. Tony, you, like me, are people cursed by knowledge. We are all people cursed by knowledge. These words made Tony Ray nod lightly. He admitted that he was a genius, but he did not feel that Kei Chen in front of him was also a genius. This guy is really the same kind as himself, too narcissistic. Tony forcibly resisted the thought of scaring Ketchen, and then said, since we are all geniuses, I wonder if you have any suggestions for the Stark Group. Suggestions? Question mark. No. Kei Chen immediately shook his head and said, this is your group, do what you want, I will always support you, Tony. Quote. His money is all earned by the Stark Group, and he doesn't know how to make money, what advice can he have? And even if he did have advice, Tony Stark wouldn't listen. It's just politeness. That's good. Tony smiled genuinely when he heard this. He was most afraid that something would happen to Kei Chen, and it would be difficult for him to do it. It's okay now. So he immediately smiled and said, I still have some things, I wish you a good time. Kei Chen didn't care that he was so real, because he also felt that there was nothing to talk about with Tony, a man. He stood up directly and left the private conference room. I saw that there were already a few tender models waiting outside to go in and hi Tony. This also made Kei Chen sigh that rich people really played with flowers. But he has no interest in these Rouge fans, there is no special status bonus, it is difficult for him to feel. Came to the party, because there were too many people, Kei Chen did not find Erica for a while. Instead, I saw Pepper, who had changed into a dress. Pepper was wearing a purple dress at this time, also a deep V, and it could be seen that her development was very good. The main thing is that she is tall, and she is afraid that she is more than 1 meter 8 meters when stepping on high heels, and the line is perfect. Immediately brought a glass of champagne from the waiter, and Kei Chen walked directly over. At this time, little Pepper had just driven away a pickup, and she couldn't look at the person just now, and naturally she didn't have much interest in talking. You really look good in a dress, Pepper. Just at this moment, Kei Chen's voice sounded, and little Pepper turned around in surprise. Thanks for the compliment, Mr. Ketchen. She still has a good impression of Kei Chen. No way, after all, Kei Chen is such a flat and close person. Men who have money means success, how can women not like successful people? Kei Chen glanced at the abyss, and his smile became even worse. When both of them were interested, they immediately had a good conversation. The current Pepper has nothing to do with Tony, and Kei Chen is not a digging wall. Have you finished talking to Mr. Stark? Pepper asked, taking a sip of wine. Yes, Tony can't wait to be high, Kei Chen said as he turned the wine glass in his hand. Pepper suddenly laughed. She also knew how good Tony could play, but it had nothing to do with her, she was just a secretary. Isn't Mr. Kei Chen going to play? It's fun to find the right people, which is why I don't really like parties, it's hard for me to find the right one. Kei Chen directly hinted at Pepper. Pepper's smile was even greater, and by this time many people had already begun to dance. The lights flickered on and off in the party, and Kei Chen also jumped with Pepper. While jumping, the two of them also got closer and closer. He put his arm around Pepper's little man's waist and asked, Pepper, are you willing to come and be my personal secretary? Little Pepper was also a little moved in her heart when she heard this. But after thinking about it, she still refused. She still has some ambitions, and it is easier to get into the position as a personal secretary, but she wants to achieve something. Stark Group, it is easier for her to unfold. Mr. Stark treats me well, I don't want to leave Stark Group. That's why Pepper said. This made Kei Chen a little regretful. But he soon stopped dwelling, at least Pepper didn't reject him in other ways. However, after dancing, the two were just about to do something to continue heating up, and Erica came over. I looked for you for a long time, it turns out that you were dancing. Erica raised her eyebrows and looked at Pepper. She didn't want her night to be ruined by outsiders. Little Pepper is also very perceptive, and immediately found a reason to leave. Of course, her vision is also very high, and the whole party can't look at anyone else except Kei Chen. Only Kei Chen was specially invited by Tony Stark, and her identity can be seen. Pepper declined the others' invitations and left the party directly. Since there is no chance this time, wait for next time. She has just graduated and is also a fun-loving age. In order to avoid Kei Chen being attracted by these glamorous cheap goods, Erica also pulled Kei Chen away and did not stay at the party longer. When leaving, Kei Chen also saw a big bald head just arrived at the party. This is a hairstyle of a strong person, not a strong person who can't stand it at all. The big bald head had a villain face, and when he saw Kei Chen, he also showed a smile. Kei Chen also responded with a smirk. He knew who this person was, very famous, the second principal of the Stark Group. Howard was a collaborator. Obadiah. The two did not intersect too much, nodded and passed by. Go home, Kei Chen asked. Back to what? Erica said suddenly, you are mine tonight. Saying that she sat in the driver's seat, Kei Chen could only get into the co-pilot and honestly fasten the seat belt. Didn't the coach tell you that you can't drive in high heels? Kei Chen asked. Don't panic, I'm skilled. Erica told him not to panic and frantically stepped on the accelerator. After all, these superwomen, they can fly away with high heels, and it is too simple to drive a car. It's as if you can't make parkour moves without wearing high heels, it's really strange. But Kei Chen also had to admit that it was beautiful. Erica really didn't take him home, and she couldn't have returned Kei Chen to Lorna tonight. That's not her style. Come to the Four Seasons Hotel in Manhattan, one of New York's best 5-star hotels, right between Central Park and Madison Avenue. Erica directly opened the room and took Kei-chen straight to the room. She was still holding a small bag in her hand, not knowing what was inside. The room was big and there were floor-to-ceiling windows. Seeing the floor-to-ceiling window, Kei-chen thought of its use. At this time, the dress was also shown, and the shoulder strap was pulled to the side. But Erica slipped straight into the bathroom. When she came out again, she was already wearing a black ninja suit. This set is very similar to the red one, but the details are slightly different, and it has a leather texture, just like a prosecutor. Kei-chen swallowed his saliva. When Erica saw his appearance, she immediately walked over with a smile on her lips. "I said I would wear this suit for you." Everything fell into place. 1998 was a good year, just 2 years before the turn of the century. Natasha Romanoff, who was only a teenager, became the best agent of the Red House in just 3 years and was awarded the title of Black Widow. And in the crowd, she became the best Black Widow. In the decades-long history of the Red House, no one has ever done it, and she is the best. And Natasha, who did all this, just held the necklace worn around her neck with a grim expression. She has been knocked down countless times, but no one knows where she came from, a force that made her get up again and did so well. If I have to say it, then this energy is called faith. Under Melina's complicated expression, Dreykov sent Natasha on a mission to the United States. Melina is ready, and when Yelena also comes out of the Red House, she will retire. As for where to go, a figure flashed in front of Melina's eyes. Natasha, who got the task, did a great job, helping Dreykov complete several difficult tasks in a row. It is because of this that Natasha was targeted by the successful Nick Fury. Nick Fury sends level 7 agent, Hawkeye, Clinton Patton to deal with Black Widow Natasha. But Hawkeye Barton didn't listen to Nick Fury's solution to Natasha. Because he can't do it. In the battle, Barton can only fight with Natasha, and even faintly fall into the downwind. This shocked Barton, but it was not surprising when you thought about it. Although Natasha is only in her teens, she is the finest Black Widow, the best in history. Barton, whose strength could not suppress Natasha, also had a heart of love in his heart, and he tried his best to finally persuade him to succeed. Natasha seemed to repent, and decided to join S.H.I.E.L.D. Actually, Natasha had been ready for a long time. As long as she is a normal person, Black Widow cannot be loyal to the Red House, and Natasha is even more so. She, like Yelena, hated the Red House during training. If it weren't for this Red House, she would probably have grown up happily in Ohio, and she is still carefree, and she can eat the food made by her godfather every day. Therefore, in the face of Barton's solicitation, Natasha directly agreed. Nick Fury, the king of agents, learned the news and did not directly trust Natasha. It takes a little time. Fortunately, Natasha did not care about this, but chose to go directly to Ohio. Hawkeye Barton followed her on the grounds that being a tour guide was actually surveillance. Natasha didn't care. She just looked at the familiar scene in front of her, the familiar building. It was the first home in 3 years. Natasha wears a sweatshirt and hides her entire head under her hood, seemingly not wanting to be seen by anyone. Her whole person showed a defensive posture, and Barton knew that she was extremely entangled in her heart at this time. Everything here doesn't seem to be any different from when she left. She even saw the grumpy Grandma Lucy, who was as violent and fierce as a Texas. Except for Grandma Lucy, it was all people Natasha didn't know. She was getting slower and slower, walking down the street, and there would never be a little girl with dyed blue hair riding by on a bicycle again. The two stopped, and Natasha looked at the house where she had lived, which had now been bought by others and lived in. This is your home. Barton has figured out Natasha's origins, and S.H.I.E.L.D. is still terrifying in this regard. Nick Fury also realized that Natasha was the man's goddaughter back then. Nope. Natasha glanced at it and walked to the other side. My home is here. She came to the courtyard where Kei-chen used to live. The fence was still familiar, the lawn was also neatly trimmed, and it still seemed that there were still people living there. Natasha's body trembled slightly, and the two stood outside the courtyard, looking inside the house, as if they wanted to judge something through the shadows of the windows. Does the godfather still live here? The more Natasha thought about it, the more afraid she dared to face all this. How should she face her godfather? The layout of the courtyard was the same as she remembered, with only minor changes, or added later. Natasha did not dare to take another half a step forward. Looking at her, Barton didn't know what to say, so he chose to shut up and didn't tell Natasha that her godfather no longer lived here. Even S.H.I.E.L.D. had a hard time finding traces of her godfather. For the rich, S.H.I.E.L.D. is not so easy to monitor. Do other organizations really eat dry food? Just when the two hesitated like this, it seemed that the people in the house noticed the situation outside, and the door opened directly from the inside. Click. The door opened from the inside and a young woman came out, still holding a baby in her arms. She looked at Barton and Natasha suspiciously, and they looked a little strange. Hi, hey, you, B. Natasha looked at the woman in front of her and asked a little nervously. She subconsciously thought that her godfather was married and had children. My name is Erin, I am the mistress of this house, are you all right? The young lady named Irene asked Natasha what she thought had happened. It's okay, we're just here to see. Natasha returned to her normal and stared at Erin for a moment. She's not pretty, but she's attractive. Erin was a little embarrassed to look at, and just asked, do you know Macaw? Came to him for something. Quote. Macaw. Natasha frowned, the name was somewhat unfamiliar. Yes, my husband. Erin nodded. When did you come here? Natasha realized something. I bought it 2 years ago and it's a great place. Yes, very good. Natasha glanced at the room again, not knowing why, her heart seemed to relax a lot. She didn't have to face it all anymore, and she didn't know if her godfather was doing well or badly. It turns out that the godfather has long left here and sold the house. If that's the case, why should she continue to search? I left first. Natasha spoke, then turned and walked away quickly. Barton smiled wryly at Erin and left with Natasha. They naturally had news for a long time, but he chose to let Natasha find the answer herself, and he didn't know how Natasha was feeling at this time. Natasha lowered her head, and the whole person seemed to be wrapped in a sweatshirt, and she couldn't see her joy or anger. Faced with everything familiar, but she felt very strange. It turns out that 3 years have passed, and everything here has long been different. Kei Chen didn't know that Natasha had gone to find herself. He had already lived a fairy-like life at this time. After crossing Chinese New Year's Eve, Lorna and Erica seemed to reconcile. Since then, the three have lived happily ever after. It's weird. On the surface, it is harmonious, but in fact, both of them have done their best, and Kei Chen can only say that it is not enough for outsiders. This kind of healthy competition, Kei Chen will naturally not stop it, but will make them increase their efforts. Erica also gradually learned the identity of the Lorna mutant, and was a little depressed. Now it seems that she is the weakest of the three. She knows how powerful mutants are, and ordinary people, even if they are trained to the peak of humans, are not the opponents of many mutants. As long as mutants use their innate talents, they can do things that many people can't do. How can they not be suppressed? The three of them seemed to have forgotten Jin's threat. But as the underground emperor of New York, Kim is not so easy to mess with. In a secret laboratory, the bullseye that should have died lies inside the instrument. His soft body had recovered at this time. Test tubes were inserted directly into his body, constantly transporting something. When the experiment is completed, the bullseye that opens the eye also feels incredible. He jumped off the hospital bed and looked at the burly Jin-hee on the side. Boss, what's going on? Bullseye's memory is still stuck in the scene when he was controlled by Kei Chen and then jumped directly downstairs. He thought that Kei Chen was a mutant and could directly control him, and he couldn't resist at all, which made Bullseye extremely scared. Jin-hee watched his right-hand man finally, live, again, also with a smile. This is like an experiment like coming back from the dead, and it still has some effect. Of course, it is also the tenacity of the bullseye, and previous experiments have all failed without exception. I injected admin metal into your body, and you can be like Wolverine at this time. Jin-hee said in a deep voice, don't disappoint me again. Yes, boss. Bullseye was extremely excited when he heard this. Can he be the same as Wolverine? Wolverine is very famous in the world, almost the most famous mutant. And his ability, the bullseye also knows. Wolverine hardly dies, and his body is harder than steel, because of the Edmund metal in his body. Now the Bullseye is too. Of course, Bullseye is not so conceited that he thinks he has the strength of Wolverine. Wolverine is mainly his mutant ability coupled with Edmund metal, which makes him almost immortal. This alone, the Bullseye cannot compare, but his strength is definitely stronger than before. Bullseye's only thought at this time is to take crazy revenge on Kei-Chen and Erika. Erika, that fool, is definitely not his opponent, the only thing to pay attention to is Kei-Chen. Time came to the day that Kei-Chen cared about the most in the year. Even Erika and Lorna thought it was his birthday. Kei-Chen didn't explain much, they thought it was okay. Anyway, April 1st is very important. It's April Fool's Day. He was really afraid that all this was April Fool's Day, and every time he was afraid to open his eyes and go back in time, he found that it was all a dream. Fortunately, this is really the Marvel Universe. Having such a happy time here, Kei-Chen certainly didn't want to go back. He wants everything, money, beauty, not the guy who used to have nothing. That's why he is so indisputable. As long as he is happy, it is enough, and there is no idea of ruling the earth. This time, Kei-Chen paid more attention. Because the check-in system does not say once a year, every 5 and 10 years there will be a big package. Kei-Chen naturally looked forward to what this gift package was. Therefore, he was more serious than ever this time, and the preconditions for increasing Oh Huang's luck were all completed, and he locked himself in the room. This made Lorna and Erika, who had eaten a hearty meal, a little puzzled. But they don't ask much because they value the freedom of others. Congratulations to the host for successfully surviving for 5 years, hiding his strength, and getting a super gift package. Red virtual gift bag appeared in front of Kei-Chen's eyes, and he even needed to open it himself. In fact, he just clicked and it turned on automatically. Congratulations to the host for opening the super gift package and successfully obtaining teleportation. Teleportation. The host can reach anywhere in the 9 realms with a single thought, without consuming any energy, provided that the location is known or the location of a familiar person is. When Kei-Chen saw this ability, he only had 2 words in his heart. Invincibility. Newton's coffin board can't be suppressed. Without consuming any ability, this is completely breaking the law of conservation of energy. Of course, he will not have any dissatisfaction, but is very happy. This ability is extremely powerful, and he is very satisfied. And unlike others, Kei-Chen can directly experiment. Teleportation is still a bit restrictive, but this limitation is nothing for this ability. As soon as his mind moved, he appeared on the Stark building and saw Pepper, who was working overtime. Little Pepper wiped his eyes, thinking that he was hallucinating, and when he looked up again, Kei-Chen had disappeared. Pepper, you're still thinking about this. Pepper was embarrassed in her heart. Kei-Chen tried this ability everywhere, but he only felt too fierce in his heart. This teleportation is much more powerful than Karma-Taja's portal. He doesn't need to draw a circle in front of him, but can move over in an instant, without being interrupted by anyone at all. Moreover, Karma-Taja's portal does not seem to have such a large range of teleportation. Kei-Chen could go to any place within the 9 realms, of course, provided that he had been there. If he had been to Asgard, that thought would have appeared in Asgard, even more than the Rainbow Bridge. In this comparison, Kei-Chen felt like he was carrying a rainbow bridge with him. The Rainbow Bridge is also a place where people can go to any place within the 9 realms at will. Of course, the Rainbow Bridge is not just a teleportation device, but also a powerful interstellar weapon. This was established by Odin to deal with the flame giant Soltal, whose Twilight Sword has the ability to teleport, and Odin is difficult to catch up, so he built a Rainbow Bridge to hunt it down. In addition, if the Rainbow Bridge is always on and not closed, it can destroy a realm. Loki, who later learned of his identity as a frost giant, wanted to use the Rainbow Bridge to destroy the country of the frost giant, Jotunheim. All in all, Kei-Chen was very satisfied with this ability. Although what he wants more is the ability to fly, such as the speed of light. But teleportation seems cooler. After April Fool's Day, Lorna and Erika choose to go out together. The main thing is that Lorna can't drive and has no idea of learning, so she can only let Erika carry her along. Erika did not refuse. the two actually did not have any disputes as long as they did not involve Kei-chen's affairs. And after knowing each other for so long, I didn't hate each other so much. What are you going to buy? Erica asked Lorna. Buy some clothes. Lorna felt that her clothes were too old-fashioned, especially since she didn't have a uniform. She felt that this was where she could not compete with Erica. Erica would actually design her own uniform, which Lorna did not expect. Not knowing what Lorna thought, Erica immediately recommended, I know a few brands, take you to see them. Quote, they have plenty of time to shop, and women seem to have endless physical strength when it comes to shopping. It's women's nature, and they seem to have the word buy in their genes. Kei-chen didn't know where to run, they couldn't find him. It was clear that he was in the room before. Fortunately, Erica knew Kei-chen's strength, so she asked Lorna not to worry. The two lost track of time as soon as they went shopping, and soon it was dark. Lorna sensed Erica's thoughts, and the clothes that Erica recommended for her were indeed good-looking, but too conservative. Therefore, she saw a lot of beautiful things by herself and wanted to show Kei-chen the changes. In this open and secret battle, they were ready to return to Long Island. Erica doesn't live in Kei-chen's house, so she has to go home by herself after sending Lorna back. But just when the two got into the car, they suddenly sensed a crisis. Phew, a dark weapon flew over from the roof, and Erica reacted instantly, wanting to dodge. But the dark weapon had already flown in front of her. This shocked Erica, because the speed of the dark device was even faster than the bullseye at the time. At this moment, Lorna's hand reached out in front of her. Lorna's hand emitted a green light, and this dart-like dark weapon was immediately controlled by her. No way, this thing is made of metal. Both women looked up at the roof, and saw a figure flashing on the roof. The person who sneaks up is naturally Bullseye. After Bullseye became familiar with his body, he chose to do it to Erica first. So he followed Erica all afternoon. And the woman next to Erica, he also found that it was the woman of Kei-chen. So Bullseye decided to kill these two women together, and the Oriental man named Kei-chen must be in pain. But who thought that the dart was about to hit Erica's eyebrows, and was actually controlled by the green-haired woman next to him. Seeing the green light in the palm of her hand, the Bullseye knew that it was broken. Mutants. It's also mutants. He was immediately ready to turn around and flee. Mutants are not incapable of fighting, but they must pay attention to methods. Bullseye didn't know the news before, and it was obviously hasty to start at this time. Let me come. Lorna held down Erica, and then pointed her hands at the ground, and in a flash of green light, her whole body floated. Erica looked at Lorna in surprise. After getting along for so long, she didn't expect Lorna to have this trick. It's also so cool, Erica muttered. Lorna didn't float fast, not even flying, but she did get into the air and fly directly to the roof. Simply put, her levitation actually uses a magnetic field, but the movements look a bit like the Scarlet Witch Wanda after that. Both of them were shining with power in their hands, and then they flew. By the time Lorna flew to the roof, the Bullseye was already running away. Bullseye looked back and was suddenly frightened a little faster. This green-haired woman can actually fly. Fortunately, he chose to run away immediately, otherwise he would be finished. Just when Bullseye had this thought, he suddenly found that he couldn't move. What's going on? Bullseye tried hard to control his body, but his body seemed to have lost control and no longer belonged to him. How can there be such a strange feeling? His body does not belong to him, or to whom? Lorna didn't expect the person in front of her to be so strange. She only felt that the person was covered in metal, but this was just right for Lorna. This is what she restrained. Therefore, Lorna waved her hand casually, using her ability to Bullseye and could not resist. It's like Wolverine met Magneto. He was simply restrained by nature, and Lao Wan just couldn't kill him. But Bullseye doesn't have the perverted self-healing ability of Wolverine. Wolverine is able to compare with Deadpool's self-healing ability. The poor Bullseye thought that he had become stronger, but he did not expect to meet his nemesis directly. And although he is infused with Edmund metal, even some Edmund metal has been integrated into the bones, making him as indestructible as Wolverine. Even if he falls from a tall building, he will not be injured. But he didn't heal himself. He is still the same as before. If he is killed, he will die. So the Bullseye is afraid. Lorna controlled him and flew back upside down, ready to show Erica. He must have a feud with Erica, otherwise how could he make a sneak attack? But just then, Lorna heard someone shouting next to her. Stop! She turned her head and suddenly saw two men in black agent suits facing her. A man and a woman, the man still holding a bow and arrow, the woman with a pistol. Hey, you violated the mutant pact. Mutants can't use abilities at will, and they have to restrain themselves. Although the controlled bullseye doesn't look like a good person, Natasha and Barton must investigate. That's right, the two agents in front of you are Natasha and Hawkeye Patton. After leaving Ohio, Natasha came to New York, ready to work for S.H.I.E.L.D., which had not yet changed its name. It's just that now Nick Fury doesn't trust her, and arranges for Barton to monitor her in the name of protection. Natasha, who had nothing to do, was naturally wandering around New York City, so she saw this scene. You want to stop me? Lorna looked at the two in front of her with a grim expression. She was a little impatient. Just going out to shop for a dress, she was attacked again, and she was held against by a mutant agreement, which made her very unhappy. The United States is a country where discrimination is pervasive, and the more there is nothing, the more emphasis is made. It is precisely because of discrimination everywhere that they talk about opposing discrimination. Natasha's words just now made Lorna feel that she was discriminated against as a mutant. She was already a little sensitive in her heart, and she was naturally unhappy. No, we just want to investigate the situation. Natasha immediately replied when she heard this. Why am I being investigated? Who are you? Lorna had a slight disdain on her lips. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.